Play.
Partly cloudy, 16 today with the 6 o'clock news. I'm Mel Usher. There's been a shooting at a shopping mall in Copenhagen. The death toll is unconfirmed. It appears the gunman had a deer rifle. A male in his 20s has been taken into custody. It's being treated as a possible act of terrorism. Cabinet's Emergency Management Council is due to meet today. There are concerns about the low COVID vaccination rates in children. Increased case numbers interstate are also expected to be on the agenda. The Prime Minister has made a surprise visit to Ukraine. Katie Fuller reports.
It's the first ever visit of an Australian PM to Ukraine to witness the devastation of the Russian invasion firsthand. Anthony Albanese has been in 3 towns near Kyiv where atrocities were allegedly committed against civilians. Reuters is reporting a local governor says the Prime Minister saw demolished civilian houses, traces of mines and a destroyed airport. He says Mr Albanese told them Australia supports Ukraine and wants to see justice.
Experts are warning most businesses aren't prepared for new federal workplace harassment laws to be rolled out. The Attorney-General has said the government is committed to acting on all of the recommendations of the Respect at Work report. There are concerns China wants to make Pacific nations more reliant on its power. Australia is preparing for China to increase its presence in the region after signing a security deal with the Solomon Islands and attempting to sign further deals with nearby nations. Veteran analyst Alan DuPont has told 60 Minutes Beijing's strategy is clear.
To draw the whole region, every single one of the Pacific Island countries, into the Chinese world and make them dependent on China. And when you have dependency, then you're basically going to give the person you're dependent on pretty much what they want because you don't have too many options.
Mortgage holders could be facing another rate rise this week. The RBA meets tomorrow. Economists are tipping more increases in the wake of inflation. A second child in New South Wales has been infected with diphtheria. Zach De Silva has more.
Diphtheria of the throat is extremely rare in Australia thanks to childhood immunisations. This is just the second case of it this century. Both cases were announced this week, a 2-year-old child and now a 6-year-old. Close contact. They're from the state's Northern Rivers region. In its most severe form, the infection can make it hard to swallow and breathe, while a toxin formed by the bacteria can cause heart and nerve inflammation.
The Wiggles have followed in the footsteps of major rock stars. The children's group has made the cover of Rolling Stone magazine, and they ditched their multicoloured skivvies for the occasion. Now to 5AA Sport.
Check out Gliderroll Garage Doors' new Timber Look Native Series sectional doors. Gliderroll.com.au.
And it's good morning to Jace Kemp.
Good morning to you, Mel. Well, let's start with footy, and Port Adelaide will arrive home from Perth this morning after falling 8 points short against Fremantle. Ken Hinkley praised Charlie Dixon for changing the match in the last quarter. The coach says Scott Lycett will return to the ruck next week.
Teakle's out and Lycett's out, both injured, which we'll get Lycett back next week. So, he was really close to playing some minutes this weekend. Unfortunately, he got a bit crook and didn't quite happen, so that took that out of our hands.
To tennis, Yannick Sinner has defeated Carlos Alcaraz in 4 sets. Craig Gabriel reports from Wimbledon.
6 match points is what it took Yannick Sinner to reach his first Wimbledon quarter-final. The Italian was in total command, but Carlos Alcaraz is getting more and more known for his fighting qualities, and he came back with the 3rd set and tested Sinner's mental fortitude. Sinner passed the test to win 6-1, 6-4, 6-7, 6-3. He'll play Novak Djokovic or Tim van Rijthoven.
To racing, and Carlos Sainz has won his first Formula One Grand Prix, taking out the British race overnight. Daniel Ricciardo finished 13th. Meanwhile, former Supercars driver Scott McLaughlin has won the Mid-Ohio IndyCar race in the United States. And finally, the West Coast Fever, this year's Super Netball champions, after defeating the Vixens 70-59. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now the 5AA forecast, partly cloudy and 16 today, partly cloudy tomorrow, 16. Wednesday, mostly sunny and 14, then a shower or 2 and 15 degrees on Thursday. Right now it's 9. More news as it happens on 5AA.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast.
Statewide Super is now Host Plus, an industry super fund for all Australians. That's a plus.
Yes, good morning and welcome to 5AA Breakfast. It is fantastic to have your company on this Monday, July the 4th. It is 5 minutes past 6 o'clock. A big thanks to Mel Usher and Jace Kemp doing a wonderful job in the newsroom. And someone who's going to be joining me for the entire week this week. I've worked with him before and really looking forward to another great week is Michael Smyth. Michael, good morning.
Reddy, I slept like a log last night, like a log burning in a fire. Very sleep deprived, not helped by your mate Leith Forrest, who tweeted me late last night saying, don't sleep through your alarm, and sent a photo of 6 alarms concurrently set. I expected to find you sleeping under the desk when I arrived here, because every time I turned on the wireless on the weekend, you were on. You did overtime calling the footy on the weekend.
I know, I did. I had a couple of games to call. A couple were out of action. I was with Rowie on Saturday, but he was unavailable Sunday. David Woody, sadly, was crook and couldn't do it, so I was subbed in. Both games. Thrilling finish last night. Port Adelaide nearly snatched it, but it was a busy weekend. I did actually consider sleeping here overnight, and my wife would have been very happy with that, I think, but I thought I'd better get home for a quick nap. I had 3 alarms going, so I was okay.
Do you know what I'm most nervous about this morning? Talking to Tim Ginniver after that Port Magpies effort on Saturday. They had one goal in mind and they achieved it, clearly. What an extraordinary result.
Gee, that was not a pretty sight for a Port Adelaide fan. 1 goal for the match, I think 10 points. They lost by, 20 goals against North Adelaide, who admittedly are going brilliantly, and Port were missing a few, but boy, that is not something you see very often. Port beaten by 126 points or something. It was crazy.
You can raise that one with Timmy G when he's on after 7. Now, speaking of results, an extraordinary result in the eastern suburbs, the Bragg by-election. Obviously, Vicky Chapman copped a fair hit at the state election in terms of a swing against the Libs, but then Jack Batty, the Liberal candidate, has just snuck across the line. This has gone from what Peter Malinowskis described on Saturday as the jewel in the crown for the Liberal Party, the diamond in the jewel in the crown for the Liberal Party, to what, to quote John Cleese from The Meaning of Life, is now a wafer-thin margin. An extraordinary result there, and the Greens picking up a lot of the vote as well. Jack Batty's going to join us later in the program.
So look, he got in, as you say, but that margin has been reduced significantly. So, the Liberals, it would have been severe egg on the face had they not reclaimed that seat, but they've got it. So I guess that's the main thing, Michael. They've got the seat, but they'd still be a little bit upset with perhaps the result.
And you think, if you'd been pre-selected as the Liberal candidate for Bragg in the leafy eastern suburbs, that was pretty much a job for life. But Jack Batty's going to have to work hard to convince the electors that he deserves another term in 3.5 years, or whenever the next election comes around in 2026. When you think the seat was only formed in 1970, they've had 3 members since then. The former Premier David Tonkin was in there for a long time, Graham Ingerson, the former Tourism Minister, and of course Vicky Chapman for the last 20 years. But Jack Batty's got his work cut out. It's going to be interesting to see what he plans to do to convince voters that he's worth sticking around. An interesting litmus test too, I guess, for David Spears as Liberal leader. Granted, he's only been in the job for 5 minutes or so, but you wonder if it puts him under any additional pressure, given that the result that we saw on Saturday.
So we'll talk to him just after 7 o'clock this morning, get his take on things. Looking forward to that. But plenty of other good stuff coming up this morning on 5AA Breakfast as well, Michael.
We're going to talk to the team up at Monato. They're doing interesting things there. A huge expansion going up underway up there, particularly when it comes to the protection of rhinos and things like that. This is NAIDOC week as well, so we're going to have a guest in to tell us what's happening around town. I see, among other things, there's a specially designed tram running around Adelaide, all sorts of talks, masterclasses, exhibitions and things to better understand Indigenous culture. Great celebration of that this week. What else have we got coming up, Tom?
Well, we've got a heap of sport because it's been big on the weekend. You talk about the football, but Wimbledon has been outstanding as well from an Australian perspective. I can't remember the last time we had 4 Aussies through to the second week of Wimbledon, the round of 16, and it's the Aussie men who have really been dragging the chain in terms of results over the past few years. But great to see Nick Kyrgios, who's in and out of the headlines. He's causing quite a stir. He's a villain to some. He's a hero to many others. He's got a real opportunity, I think, to go deep into this tournament and maybe even get to a Grand Slam final. Who knows? But he had a fantastic win against Stefanos Tsitsipas. So we'll have a chat about that and how the Aussies are faring, and plenty of other sport happening about the place as well. So looking forward to doing that in about a quarter of an hour from now, but also with Timmy Ginniver at about 7:20 this morning.
Now, I know you're very good on the trumpet. You any good at guitar?
Not great.
Look at my fingers. They're like chivapchichis. I tried to learn the guitar as a kid, but they were never quite nimble enough to fit around the neck of the guitar. But we have a master of the guitar joining us today in Slava Gregorian, because the Adelaide Guitar Festival starts this weekend. So looking forward to hearing about that. I had a good weekend. My sister celebrated a milestone birthday.
Oh.
I won't tell you what it was on the wireless, but among the guests there, this is up at the Uradela Hotel in the Hills. You've been up there?
Lovely.
The woods?
Yes,
Beautiful.
I have. Beautiful.
One of the guests was Dougie the Pizza Boy from the Pizza Hut commercials.
No
Remember
way.
Dougie?
I remember
Yes.
Dougie.
I'd never met him before, but he's a great mate of my sister and her husband. And, of course, if you know where the Uradela Hotel is, across the road is that terrific pizza place, Lost in a Forest, which was set up by the now late, sadly, Tara Sakota from Makota Barrels, an old St Ignatius colleague. And late in the day, we had a few sherbets, and I thought, wouldn't it be hilarious if I went up to Dougie the Pizza Boy and said, "Hey, Dougie, can you whip across the road and get us some pizzas?" Thankfully, I thought better of that. It was a good shindig, though, but it's been a long weekend of celebration. You know when a family member has a milestone birthday?
Oh, yeah, it was funny. Yesterday, I was at a barbecue, just caught up with some friends, and we had some beautiful pork and chicken and roast potatoes. It was all happening, a couple of beers as well, and then I had to duck off to come and call the football. But I was ready to just plant one on for the rest of the day. But I thought, no, I've got to behave today and head on into the football. But it was that kind of weekend, wasn't it? So cold at the moment, Michael.
Bitterly cold. I see there's a frost warning for the mid-north at the moment. I was lucky coming to work at the ice arena crossing High Marsh Square this morning, although we've really got nothing to complain about when you look at what's happening in Sydney again. Extraordinary flooding overnight. We'll probably get an update on that later in the show as well, but tens of thousands of people evacuated from their homes, and people in areas that previously weren't affected by the floods now being warned that it could well impact their homes.
Lots happening over there. Lots happening here as well, and we've got a big show coming up on 5AA Breakfast. We're coming up to 12 minutes past 6. Got to get into the news headlines next. Don't go anywhere. Michael Smith, Tom Rehn with you here on 5AA Breakfast.
The Isuzu MUX is born to tow.
You can go your own way. Go your own way.
With 3.5-ton towing capacity, trailer sway control and a reversing camera as standard across the range. Now's the time to gear up the boat, caravan or trailer and let the adventures begin in the exquisite 7-seat Isuzu MUX. Search Isuzu MUX.
Hi, Bronte Manuel from Toop and Toop. If you see a late model Mercedes for sale in a small car yard, you'd be hoping you might be able to snare a bargain. If you see the same Mercedes for sale at a respected dealership specialising in luxury European vehicles, you're likely to value that car more highly. The same goes for real estate. Market perception is everything. Sure, most agencies will be able to sell your home in this market, but only a premium agency can deliver a premium result. Visit toop.com.au to find out more.
Ever wondered if retirement living would suit you? This winter, come along to our free FIVEaa open home events and get a sneak peek of the lifestyle you could enjoy. Explore our communities, inspect our display homes and chat with our friendly team. With 12 events across Adelaide from the 12th to the 16th of July, we look forward to welcoming you. Attendees must be vaccinated and all events will operate with a COVID-safe plan. Take the first step and search FIVEaa Open Home today. RSVP is essential.
If you're planning an event, whether it's a small meeting with the latest in reliable technology or a large gala dinner full of glitz and glamour, you'll experience event excellence on every level at the Adelaide Convention Centre. Excellence in understanding your needs and delivering them to exacting standards is what we do. And we don't just aim for excellence, we go beyond. So for your next excellent event, the team is ready and waiting at the Adelaide Convention Centre, the centre of event excellence.
What is small business? It's people you know, things you need. Small business supports workers, suppliers and families right across South Australia. So go on, go out and support small business. A message from the Government of South Australia.
9 News has the experience to break the news. Made in Adelaide for Adelaide. 9 News.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast.
Statewide Super is now Host Plus, an industry super fund for all Australians. That's a plus.
We are up and about here on 5AA Breakfast. Michael Smith, Tom Rehn with you. It's 6:15 on this Monday, July the 4th. Great to be with you. We're going to get stuck into the headlines in a moment, but we'd love to hear from you. 0448 08 1395 is the Automasters text line if you want to join in the conversation. Otherwise, you can give us a call. 8223 0000 is the number. But, Michael, a lot happening and a fair bit of it overseas overnight, which is fairly sad, unfortunately, this first story.
Yes, as Mel was telling us in the news at 6, there's been this dreadful shooting at a shopping centre in Copenhagen. This is a place called Fields, which is evidently the largest shopping centre in Copenhagen. Several people, we understand, have been killed. A 22-year-old Danish man has been arrested. Evidently the only gunman involved. He had some sort of hunting rifle, we're told. Police confident no one else was involved, and still not being treated as a possible act of terrorism. It's still being investigated. There is a Harry Styles concert, interestingly, still going ahead about a mile from that shopping centre. His people have been in touch with Danish security, and they're confident that they can go ahead safely. I see that the Crown Prince, though, and Princess Mary have cancelled a state reception that was due to be held, I guess, not considered an appropriate thing to go ahead in the wake of that sort of national tragedy. So we'll keep you updated if we get any more information from that shooting. Several dead in a Copenhagen shopping mall.
Yeah, not good at all. And it appears the gunman may have had a deer rifle. A man in his early 20s allegedly taken into custody. So a bit going on there. But as those details emerge, we'll have more throughout the morning, and Mel Usher will have that covered in the newsroom, no doubt.
In other news, Cabinet's Emergency Management Council is due to meet today. There are concerns about low COVID vaccination rates in children. Increased case numbers interstate are also expected to be on the agenda. I see that, sadly, we passed the 10,000 death mark at the weekend, and some epidemiologists were calling for the reintroduction of mandatory mask rules in some places, which you can understand. I mean, I was at the supermarket yesterday and there were half a dozen people with masks on. It's not a huge imposition. And if you think back to this time last year, we've got the double whammy this year of not only COVID but the flu. We only had a handful of flu cases last year, largely because people were wearing masks to protect them from COVID. How do you think people would feel about masks being made mandatory again in some situations?
Well, I'm not sure that people would take it overly well. I think, given what we've gone through, it feels to me like most people think we've come through the other side, and to then go back to masks, I think there'd be a fair bit of resistance. I see, as you say, I walk through the city regularly, and 1 out of every maybe 30 or 40 people has a mask on, which is their right. They choose, to try and stay a little bit healthier that way. But I think it would be a tough ask to make it compulsory or mandatory for people to do it everywhere. I think you'd get a fair bit of resistance.
I guess the big concern is that these new variants of Omicron are particularly virulent, and we're heading into this double whammy, depths of winter, flu, COVID. I don't know. I don't have an issue with wearing a mask at the supermarket, but whether is anyone going to be brave enough to make them mandatory again is another political question as much as anything, isn't it? Thousands of Sydney residents have been forced from their homes and are now facing a nervous wait due to yet another flooding emergency. This is mainly in the west and southwest of Sydney. Almost 70 evacuation orders are now in place. Major flood warnings are still in place for parts of the Hawkesbury and the Nepean rivers. The SES has made more than 100 rescues, and Emergency Services Minister Steph Cook says she's disappointed by the high number of flood operations required.
No, we don't seem to. Maybe we do have her.
We continue to put out multiple times a day in relation to this flooding event.
We might just have one more listen to that one there from Steph Cook.
It unfortunately shows that people aren't necessarily heeding the advice that we continue to put out multiple times a day in relation to this flooding event.
And I saw the area south of Sydney around Wollongong and the Illawarra had something like 600 millimetres in 3 days, which is the equivalent of Hobart's annual rainfall, evidently, in that short period of time. Extraordinary scenes on the television this morning of bridges and roads cut off. Sadly, I think someone died in a kayak in the Parramatta River yesterday. They just can't take a trick. It seems like they've only just dried out from the last flooding.
Well, I know the AFL very seriously considered even calling that game off yesterday with GWS and Hawthorn. I mean, it has been extreme weather there over in the east, and you're right. I mean, we might complain about how cold it is over here, but compare it to what's happening on the east coast, it's chalk and cheese.
The Prime Minister, you might have heard in AA News at 6, also has been visiting Ukraine overnight under very tight security. All of the media travelling with him were very much restricted in terms of a blackout for security reasons, obviously. This follows an invitation from the President Volodymyr Zelensky. Anthony Albanese toured 3 war-ravaged towns near Kyiv, expressing his shock at the level of the devastation and pledging $100 million in additional military support for Ukraine. He witnessed firsthand the demolished civilian homes, traces of mines, and a destroyed airport.
And the fact that you had such a significant force, you can see the use of tanks, missiles, heavy artillery being used in a civilian area. It's just devastating.
And Australia, I think, outside NATO, has committed the most amount of military support to help the Ukrainians. I wonder how long he's going to be there for, and it would have been quite an intense operation to safely get the Prime Minister in and out of that region.
And it's front page news today as well, Michael, and the headline is Albo's secret Ukraine mission. So, not surprisingly, not too much publicity leading in, as you say. Want to make sure that he gets in and out safely, but he has seen firsthand just that devastation that you spoke about.
Interesting to hear, speaking of federal politics, Jim Chalmers, the Federal Treasurer, talk about the excise on fuel over the weekend, saying, of course, that's due to expire in September, and there's no suggestion that it's going to be extended, so more hip pocket pain at the Bowser. I see most Adelaide petrol stations are up around that $2.39 a litre mark now. We've got the Reserve Bank meeting tomorrow to consider interest rates. They're likely to go up again. I see that the Commonwealth Bank increased its fixed rates for people over the weekend, so it's just getting tougher and tougher, isn't it, to make the budget balanced?
Well, I think I filled up for $1.98, maybe on Friday.
It's a big win, Tom.
And I thought, I thought, gee, I've just been slugged here, but then I've seen the prices go up over the weekend, and I think I'm one of the lucky ones. And it costs, I think it was $120 or $130 to fill up the tank. It's not cheap. I remember the glory days of 59 cents a litre. Goodness me, they're long gone.
That's a long time ago, and you would have got driveway service. That's back in the days when Penboat was working at the Mobil, wasn't it, down on South Road?
Exactly.
Former Defence Minister Linda Reynolds is urging the Liberal Party to consider temporary quotas to boost the number of women in Parliament. Analysis shows the May election saw the lowest number of female Liberal MPs enter the House of Representatives in almost 30 years. And experts are warning most businesses are unprepared for new federal laws designed to stamp out sexual harassment in the workplace. The Attorney-General says the government is committed to acting on all of the recommendations of the Respect at Work report.
So plenty happening this morning, Michael, 22 minutes past 6. And the weather, as we said, a bit of a chilly start to the week. Have we got much rain on the way, or is it looking reasonably dry?
5% chance of rain today, Tom, partly cloudy and 16. 16 also the expected top tomorrow. Some chilly nights, though, down to sort of 6 or 7 overnight. About a 10% chance of rain on Wednesday, a top of 14, a balmy top of 14. A couple of showers on Thursday, then fine as we head into the weekend.
Time now to talk a little bit of sport, all thanks to Gliderol Garage Doors, adding strength, safety and style to South Australian homes for over 40 years. Gliderol.com.au. Usually do our winners and losers from the weekend on a Monday morning, Michael, so we might do that again here this morning. We'll start off with the winners. Carlos Sainz, first MotoGP victory overnight. Absolutely outstanding result for him. The Ferrari driver breaks that great run of Max Verstappen, who's been going along magnificently. But Zhou Guan Yu, a Chinese driver, he was caught up in one almighty crash and very lucky, I think, to escape with his life. Thankfully, was able to walk away from it, but it was a very scary crash.
And the red flag has now come out to make racing redundant. That's where the car then is upside down onto the gravel, and then it flips and tries to right itself, and as it does so, then it goes over the tyre barrier.
Yeah, that audio, thanks to Fox Sports, it's pretty scary. You have to see it to believe it. Upside down, spinning around, don't know. They're so safety conscious these days, those cars, which is a great thing. I mean, back 20, 30 years ago, they were death traps a lot of the time. So he was able to walk away, but thankfully I've got him in as a loser because he crashed, but I think he's a winner just to be able to get out of there and not be too badly harmed.
I'm having flashbacks to Murray Walker's great call of Nigel Mansell at the Adelaide Grand Prix. Benz, fell, that's Mansell, that's the end of the championship.
Oh, yeah, he was one of the best, wasn't he, Murray Walker? What a great caller. Aussies at Wimbledon, they're another winner for me. Alex de Minaur, Nick Kyrgios, Jason Kubler. They're the men that are through to the round of 16. They'll playing a little bit later tonight. And also Isla Tomljanovic on the women's side, which is great to see because no Ash Barty, of course, but she is through to the round of 16 and playing some great tennis. And it's really opened up for the Australians. So great to see so many thriving on the grass this year. Nick Kyrgios, he's been in the headlines. A blow-up with Stefanos Tsitsipas. Had a real crack at him, said basically in his post-match presser he's soft, and that's the reason he's not going to go any further. And Tsitsipas has accused Nick Kyrgios of bullying and being an evil bully.
And being part of a circus.
So there's no love lost there. Look, Nick's fascinating. I do love watching him play, and we always bemoan in the sports media industry, and I think a lot of sports fans in general, we want characters. We want people to show some personality, and when they do, we're quick to rip them down. So I'm loath to do that. But what I will say is, I think often he tries to invent the rules on the run. So he was desperately trying to get Tsitsipas cautioned or have a point taken away because Tsitsipas hit the ball in the direction of the fans. So he's trying to do the umpiring at the same time. I wouldn't worry about that. The other thing that I think, people struggle to deal with is he wants the fans to be on his side, and he whipped them up into a frenzy at the Australian Open. I was lucky enough to be there. But when it started going the other way and fans start cheering against him, he gets very upset and he started spitting at them. So I think if you're going to be the ringmaster at a circus, you've got to expect that not everyone's going to love you.
People are going to throw stuff at you.
Exactly. So you've got to be prepared for that. So
we can't all be. Look at someone like Ash Barty, who's just universally admired. Not only an excellent player, but for the way she carries herself and is so humble at the end of the day.
Yeah.
He could learn some lessons from her, couldn't he?
She was a picture in humility, wasn't she? She just did her business, went about it. And look, not everyone's built the same. I get that. And we need, characters, and it's entertaining. He is must watch. He's box office. But I think if you're going to be like that, you got to realise that with the territory, you're not going to be loved.
A modern-day McEnroe?
He is, no doubt. Yeah, absolutely. He's polarising. West Coast FIVEaa, a big tick for them. They're a huge winner from the weekend. The netball, they've won another grand final. So well done to Dan Ryan, former Adelaide Thunderbirds coach. He's at the helm there. Fantastic effort. And Scott McLaughlin won the IndyCars overnight, so a really good effort from him. So Scotty McLaughlin, great effort from him. Losers, unfortunately, Crows and Port Adelaide. I called both of the matches. Look, they weren't disgraced, to be honest. The Crows had a crack against the premiership favourites and the reigning premiers in Melbourne. And Port Adelaide yesterday, they were 40 points down in the second quarter against Fremantle. Make that the third quarter. Ended up only losing by 8. So a really good effort there from them, but just falling short makes it extremely difficult for them to make finals. Probably going to have to win 6 of their last 7. So going to be tough from here for the Power, unfortunately. And the Crows, only 5 wins for the season. They're going to miss the finals for a 5th straight year. That's it for now in terms of talking sport. Check out Gliderol Garage Doors. New timber look, native series, sectional doors. Gliderol.com.au. Got to head into the newsroom shortly. Then we'll be back with plenty more right after the 6:30 news.
What was it Annie Pam would say? When I arrive at the pearly gates, I want to pull up with nothing left in the tank and also sideways.
Aunt Pam was a character. You could hear her laugh from miles away.
I'll never forget weekends at that beach shack of hers.
And her interesting decorations.
I've never met anyone who could be so late all the time. She managed to show up on time today, though. 10 points.
See you around, Aunt Pam.
A unique life deserves a distinctive funeral. distinctivefunerals.com.au.
Level up game night with Crust Pizza. Whether you're kicking back or things are kicking off, game night is always better with pizza. With a massive range of the freshest, tastiest pizzas, topped with only the best quality ingredients. And no matter the game you're passionate about.
Tremendous try. Take a magnificent mark. What a goal. Got him.
Connect over Crust famous pizzas, desserts and sides. Level up game night with Crust. Order online at crustpizza.com.au.
Here at FIVEaa, we're all about supporting local. Bowel screening saves lives. If you're aged 50 to 74, do the free test kit mailed to you. It only takes a few minutes. Need more info? Visit bowelcancer.org.au.
When it comes to APIA comprehensive car insurance, choose APIA's windscreen and glass cover option. And have your windscreen, glass or sunroof repaired or replaced excess-free on your first claim. Get your car glass covered and get back on the road sooner. That's APIA value for you. Call us today on 13 50 50. T's and C's apply. APIA is an authorised representative of the product issuer AAI Limited. Read the PDS and TMD. Call for copies.
Hi, Alan Lark from Maddox Air. Here's a split system deal you don't want to miss. The all-new Bonaire Optima L Series with a full 7-year warranty is here. That's right, a full 7-year parts and labour warranty plus Wi-Fi control. Get one installed to a bedroom from just $11.99, a lounge room from $13.99 and a large living area from an unbelievable $17.99. For a free quote, call 1300 Mannix or go online anytime.
Go Vita, your local health food shops. Over 30 years health and wellness experience and over 300 natural health practitioners specialising in you.
Hi there, I'm Peter from Go Vita, Tanunda. Fusion Quercetin Advanced with zinc, vitamin C and D, 60 veggie caps. Suppliers recommended a retail price $42.95, now only $27.95.
Go Vita, Colonnades, Fairview Green, Marion, Mount Barker, Manopara, Semaphore and Tanunda.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Partly cloudy, 16 today with the 6:30 news. I'm Mel Usher. The number of flights in and out of Adelaide continues to grow as travelling restrictions enforced during the pandemic are relaxed. The first Air New Zealand flight from Auckland in 11 months will arrive in Adelaide this morning. Fiji Airways also returns today with its first direct flight since 2019. And Adelaide Airport is forecasting close to 30,000 passengers will pass through the terminal this Friday as school holidays kick in. That's the highest number since before the pandemic. The Prime Minister has visited Ukraine following an invitation from President Volodymyr Zelensky. Anthony Albanese toured war-ravaged towns near Kiev, expressing his shock at the level of devastation and pledging $100 million in additional military support for the country. He saw houses flattened, traces of mines and a destroyed airport.
You can see the use of tanks, missiles, heavy artillery being used in a civilian area. It's just devastating.
A man has opened fire at a shopping mall in Denmark. Police are working to determine whether the deadly shooting in Copenhagen is a terror attack. Police Chief Søren Thomasen says they're yet to establish the gunman's motive.
Around 5:30 today, the Copenhagen police was notified of a shooting incident at the Fields shopping centre in Amager. When we arrived at the scene, we were able to establish that there were many people who'd been injured, and we now also know that several people have been killed. At the scene, we detained a suspect near the shopping centre.
A security expert is warning China could use support for Pacific nations to gain further control in the region. Veteran defence analyst Alan Dupont says there are concerns about debt traps for nations offering aid by Beijing. He's told 60 Minutes that leaves them vulnerable to alternative offers.
Small countries, recipients of Chinese loans, can't pay them back. So the Chinese say, OK, you can't pay it back, so how about you give us a bit of your real estate instead?
A string of drink drivers were busted in the Barossa over the weekend. The highest reading of the 5 was a 37-year-old man who recorded a blood alcohol reading of 0.219 in Springton. A 26-year-old female driver stopped at Sandy Creek, blew 0.167. In Sydney, floodwaters have forced thousands of people from their homes and thousands of others are waiting to hear if they'll also have to evacuate. 69 evacuation orders are now in place across Sydney's west, southwest and northwest. And dietitians are warning young Australians not to become reliant on ready-made microwavable meals. They say while they're quick, nutritionally balanced options in the growing market, it is cheaper in the long term to learn how to prepare a healthy meal from scratch. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Gliderall Garage Doors, adding strength, safety and style to South Australian homes for over 40 years. Gliderall.com.au.
Here's Jace Kemp.
Thank you, Mel. To footy first, and the Power's hopes of playing finals are hanging by a thread after falling 8 points short against Fremantle. Lockie Jones injured his hamstring while Dan Houston copped a knock to his calf. Despite being 40 points behind, Robbie Gray and Todd Marshall had chances to level the match, but both missed set shots.
Rob's won us that many bloody games. I'd be a bit hypocritical if one or two he'd missed one today, but I'm sure Rob would have felt like he wanted to kick it too, and so would Todd. But footy's tough, you've got to finish off when you get a chance, and when you put yourself that far behind, you've got to make it count.
That was Ken Hinckley after the match. To tennis, Novak Djokovic is currently a set-up against Tim van Rijthoven at Wimbledon, while there's a lack of well-known names in the women's draw. Craig Gabriel reports.
The bottom has fallen out of the women's draw. There's the potential for the quarterfinals to have only 2 seeds, which would be the worst performance since 32 seeds were introduced in 2001. In the bottom half, Ons Jabeur is the only seed, and she's third. She beat Melise Mertens 7-6, 6-4, and will play Marie Bushkova, while Tatiana Maria and Julie Niemeyer advanced. Yannick Sinner has beaten Carlos Alcaraz 6-3 in the fourth, and Cam Norrie and David Goffin reached the quarters.
To racing, and Ferrari driver Carlos Sainz has won the British Formula One Grand Prix. There was a huge crash to start the race after Zhou Guanyu's car flipped into the barrier.
And the red flag has now come out to make racing redundant. That's where the car then is upside down onto the gravel and then it flips.
Thankfully, no one was seriously hurt. To Super Netball, and West Coast FIVEaa have beaten the Melbourne Vixens in Perth to win the grand final. And finally, the Tour de France bids farewell to Denmark as it heads back to France for the next stage. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now the 5AA forecast: partly cloudy, 16 for your Monday, partly cloudy tomorrow, 16, Wednesday mostly sunny and 14, Thursday a shower or two, 15. Right now it's 9 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast.
Statewide Super is now Host Plus, an industry super fund for all Australians. That's a plus.
24 minutes to 7 o'clock on 5AA Breakfast, Monday, July the 4th. Great song bringing us back as well. Bit of a karaoke favourite. Can never quite get up there. For this, a bit too high for my range, as most songs are. Give us a text. We'd love to hear from you. We are interactive on 5AA Brekkie. Automasters text line 0448 08 13 95.
One here from Mark at Para Hills, who's obviously a Roosters fan, saying Port Magpies 1 gold. Yep, great result, great day for me. Good on you, Mark.
Kind of gets a bit of revenge for them, because in the 1989 grand final, Port Adelaide famously kept North to just 1 goal in that game. So it's taken a while, but they've got their revenge.
A long time. We were talking earlier about the wafer-thin margin that now exists in the seat of Bragg in the eastern suburbs after the by-election at the weekend. A text here saying the Greens only got votes in Bragg as people didn't want to vote for Labor. It was a protest vote. 3 elections there this year. There would be a lot of election fatigue, I imagine, after the state, federal, and then state again.
3 in the space of, 3 months?
Yes.
You know, pretty tight. I think people probably were a bit annoyed by it. So, as you say, I guess the test will be, and we'll put it to the member for Bragg after 7 o'clock, how he's going to go in that next election in 3.5 years' time.
Rita, obviously we were talking about the flooding that's impacting Sydney, particularly western and southwestern Sydney again, with huge number of people being evacuated. Rita's saying presumably flights will be cancelled to Sydney due to the conditions. It's unfortunate, of course, with school holidays. Some schools on holidays already, others breaking up at the end of the week. I know that my sister had some friends across from Sydney for her significant birthday at the weekend, and a lot of them had their flights either cancelled or delayed yesterday, returning to Sydney. In fact, Dougie, the pizza guy who I was talking about earlier, they ended up having their flight via Canberra for 9 hours on the ground. They were on a direct flight from Sydney to Adelaide. Congratulations, you're going to Canberra for the day, and then you can continue your onward flight. And Annette is looking at the Facebook live stream, Tom, and says you had a T-shirt just last week. This week it's a coat. But she says you're probably wearing a coat because you're tired after calling footy all weekend, and she says that the current temperature is actually warmer than it was this time last week.
It is a bit warmer, so I'm not sure why I've got the coat on and I only had the T-shirt on last week, but you know what, I don't know why I do most things 95% of the time, so I just try and get through. Keep those texts coming. Automasters text line 0448 08 13 95.
Not exactly swimming weather, but when you think of the port, you think of dolphins swimming in the river. But there's this curious, quite ambitious plan that's been announced to build an Olympic-sized pool in the river, possibly at Crookshanks Beach, which is under the Port River Expressway. It's the brainchild of a group called Estuary Care Foundation in conjunction with the North Haven Surf Lifesaving Club. Catherine McMahon is with Estuary Care and joins us now on AA Breakfast. Welcome to the program, Catherine.
Thanks very much.
This is an intriguing idea. Paint us a picture of what it might look like.
Well, I suppose we got a bit of an idea of what it might look like when the North Haven Surf Lifesaving Club ran their long swim through the river. So we've had 2 of those, one in 2017 and one in 2019, with lots of people sort of swimming in the river. We certainly do have some people who swim during the summer. What we have in mind, so Crookshanks is actually just south of the Derek Diver Bridge, just near the Birkenhead Tavern. There's a beach area there, and the idea that you put pontoons or a walkway out from there, because you want to be in water that's 2 to 3 metres deep, and then you have some kind. You create an area with pontoons or other sort of markings to kind of secure an area where people can swim. So we've been able to establish that, like the beaches, you can swim except after major rain events, within 3 days of major rain events. So we think it's a really worthwhile thing that's happening in lots of cities around the world, where they're kind of reclaiming their rivers for people to use.
How variable is the water quality down there? There are ever health concerns. You mentioned it obviously gets churned up after significant storm activity, but generally speaking, is it a pretty safe place to swim?
Well, yeah, because we're getting stormwater, in the same way that the beaches have stormwater impacts, then that's what affects us as well. So that's why the EPA says sort of within 3 days of a major event, sort of no swimming. But tests have been done with the Health Commission when the North Haven Surf Life Saving Club were running their long swims. And you're looking then at E. coli levels, for people in terms of swimming. And they've come back saying, yeah, it's perfectly acceptable for people to swim.
People who are old enough might remember that, you used to be able to swim in the Torrens around Walkerville near the swing bridge there, and I think that there was a sea pool down at Henley where Dawn Fraser, among other people, used to do a bit of training. What would the appeal be for people wanting to swim in the Port River, though, given that we have, such great beaches nearby and decent pools around the place?
Yeah, well, you see, there's people alive now who kind of learned to swim sort of in the Port River. And back in the 1920s, when the beaches were available, there used to be three or four swimming clubs, and there were thousands of people that were there. So for some people, it probably feels like a safer and a more accessible place to be. I mean, you can come down by the rail line, for example, and come to the pool, or for people who are living in that proximity, particularly for kids, for example. Or the other thing lots of people do, when you're over at a place like Port Lincoln and you see their pool on next to the wharf, there's people who just swim sort of each morning. For them it's their form of exercise. So, for locals, in the way in which some people walk around the inner harbour, then another possibility might be, to swim. Yeah.
And Catherine, that's the feedback you're getting. Do you think that it would get a lot of use from locals? Do you think that people would get out there and use it regularly?
Well, I suppose what we've done is to try and gauge sort of public support. So we wanted to do this feasibility study through the University of New South Wales, the Water Research Lab. They've got 50 plus years of experience in looking at these issues. So we've, raised the idea through our Facebook page and through appealing to people for a small GoFundMe kind of campaign. And, yeah, well, you are going to have a few people who are sceptical. The overwhelming majority of people, the response has been really positive. Whether that translates into swimming, I don't know. Because, I'm close enough to the beach that I swim there a lot, but not everybody does. But there's certainly, for example, lots of people who swim in West Lakes with the long swimming clubs, for example. And we see this as a place, for example, where people could potentially learn to swim and do their laps, and kids can enjoy, for a whole range of community uses. That's what we have in mind.
Catherine McMahon is with us from Estuary Care on 5AA Breakfast with Tom Rehn and Michael Smyth on a Monday morning. What sort of cost are we looking at here, Catherine, to get this off the ground, and who's going to pay for it?
Well, we've done an indicative cost. I've asked Maritime Construction just to give me a ballpark figure, and they did a very simple design with pontoons going out and then a pontoon structure off which people would swim, and that was about $250,000. We'd probably aim for something more ambitious than that, but when you think that a small indoor pool costs $20 million, we're not looking at anything like that for this kind of facility. And typically state and federal government provide funding for swimming pools. There's been, a range of different funding sources that we've identified that where you could kind of put an application in to, and typically these things are done by local government.
And Catherine, oh, sorry, I was just going to say, ideally, when would you look to try and get this project off the ground?
Well, really, we need to get the feasibility study back from Uni of New South Wales, and we're hoping to have that about August. And then we need to put it out for feedback, consult with people, look at what's the best preferred site. And then it's a question of, for example, will our council regard it as a priority, as a service to provide to the community? And will the community, regard it as a priority? And therefore, will those bids and whatever go in for funding?
Catherine, thanks very much for joining us, explaining that on the program today.
Thanks a lot, Tom and Michael.
Catherine McMahon from Estuary Care, who in conjunction with the North Haven Surf Lifesaving Club are looking at building this Olympic-sized swimming pool in the Port River. It's 14-7 on
5AA breakfast. Sorry, Michael, I'm finishing your
sentence.
We're at that level already, aren't we?
God, one day one, here we go.
But we'd love to get your feedback on that. Give us a call, 8223 0000, or Automasters text line 0448 08 1395. What we might do, though, before we go any further is check out what is happening on the roads this morning.
Good morning. At Athelston, Burst Watermain Gorge Road between Bermuda Court and Corkscrew Road. Road closed both directions there. In the Parklands, Arundel Road is closed between East Terrace and Taketterville Terrace for the Illuminate Festival. Brooklyn Park, look out for Stobie Pole Works, Henley Beach Road near Holbrooks Road. That's as you're heading towards the beach. And we're getting busy at the moment, South Road at Mile End. Cameras, Trimmer Parade Seaton and Rosetta Streets at West Croydon. Experience in a Porto Bondo Burger meal for just $9.95 today. Fresh Portuguese grilled chicken breast burger with chips and a drink for a limited time only at a Porto. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
With fuel prices the way they are, it's now more important than ever for your car to be fuel efficient. Peak performance means peak efficiency, and that means Automasters. Book now for an Automasters Peak Performance Injector Service. Petrol or diesel, your Automasters specialist will clean and service your fuel injection system to ensure your vehicle is running at optimum efficiency. Save fuel, save money. Get the best out of your car. Call 1300 Automasters. Peak performance guaranteed.
Fancy a wine? You'll find a huge hand-picked selection at your local independent SA family liquor store, FIVEaa. Or if you fancy a beer, you'll find the very best local, imported and craft beer at FIVEaa too. But if you fancy spirits, you'll find whiskies, gins and liquors for all tastes at FIVEaa. And you'll find friendly service and advice too. Whatever you fancy, you'll find it at FIVEaa, your local independent SA family liquor stores for over 45 years.
Even the greatest icons could do with an update, like Farmers Union Iced Coffee.
That's right, and now it'll be an even more tummies. Farmers Union Iced Coffee lactose-free is here.
Made with fresh Aussie milk and real coffee, but lactose-free and with 25% less added sugar than the original.
Experts at the Farmers Union have perfected the recipe, ensuring it tastes just like the original SA icon.
Try the legend without the lactose for yourself. Proud Aussie-owned and made right here in SA since 1977. It's a Farmers Union Iced Coffee, or it's nothing.
There's something you should know about SportsMed. We don't just provide knee, hip and shoulder care to elite athletes. Every day, we treat patients who simply want to get play with the kids fit, brisk walk fit or gardening fit. And having our clinic, hospital and specialists all based together at Stepney makes getting care for your joint pain and injuries, from diagnosis to rehabilitation, even easier. So get back to doing what you love. Speak with your GP for a referral. sportsmed.com.au.
With fuel prices the way they are, fuel efficiency is more important than ever. And that means a peak performance injector service from Automasters. Ensure your vehicle is running at optimum efficiency. Save fuel, save money. Call 1300 Automasters.
9 News has the experience to break the news. Made in Adelaide for Adelaide. 9 News.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast.
Statewide Super is now Host Plus, an industry super fund for all Australians. That's a plus.
Coming up to 10 minutes to 7 o'clock on this Monday, July the 4th. Hope you're having a great morning wherever you are listening, on your way to work, maybe in bed, getting ready to start the day. Time to have a look at the weather and how things are shaping. Simon Timke, senior forecaster from the Weather Bureau, joins us this morning. Simon, thanks so much for coming on the program.
Good morning, Tom. Good morning, Michael.
Tell us, how are things looking? We had a bit of a wet weekend over the past few days, but looking pretty good for today and the rest of the week?
Yeah, look, certainly a couple of cold mornings over the weekend, but overnight, last night, we had quite a bit of cloud over the Adelaide area, which stopped the temperature dropping too much. Most of the night, we've sort of sat on around 10 degrees, but starting to see some breaks in that cloud now, so the temperature dropped a little bit. We had our minimum 8.3 degrees at about 20 past 6 this morning. Expecting that cloud on and off during the day today. Should remain dry, just a slight chance of a light shower about the hills and southern suburbs, but I think staying dry over the Adelaide plains. Temperature-wise, expecting a maximum of 16 degrees today. Around the suburbs, 15 degrees for Glenelg, Elizabeth and Noarlunga, just 13 degrees for Mount Barker today. And the wind's generally southeasterly in direction, not too strong, maybe getting up to around 15 to 25 kilometres per hour. It's a pretty slow-moving weather pattern too, so similar day on the way for Tuesday, partly cloudy, an overnight minimum of 7, a maximum of 16. Then a bit more sunshine on the way for Wednesday, and maybe a little bit colder to start off with too, a minimum of 6 and a maximum of 14. And then there's a change moving across on Thursday, which will bring a couple of showers, not expecting any big totals, maybe just 1 or 2 millimetres, and 15 degrees a maximum for Thursday. Still a slight chance of a shower left for Friday, 15 degrees, and looking like dry conditions return over the weekend, partly cloudy and 15 for Saturday, then mostly sunny day for Sunday and 15 degrees, Tom.
Sounds pretty good. Sounds like the football was going to be pretty dry for the weekend, which is great news. Simon, thanks so much for coming on 5AA Breakfast.
Thanks a lot, Tom.
Great stuff. Simon Timke there from the Weather Bureau.
Let's check in with police now. Senior Constable Jen Cullinan is on duty at SA Police Media. Good morning, Jen.
Good morning, Tom and Michael.
Some drink drivers busted in the Barossa over the weekend.
Yeah, it was a busy weekend in the Barossa for the State Traffic Enforcement motorcycle officers, and they made some detections over the weekend. The highest reading for them was a 37-year-old Mount Pleasant man who on Saturday recorded a blood alcohol reading of 0.219, which is 4 times over the limit.
Wow.
I know. And then a 26-year-old female was also stopped at Sandy Creek on Saturday, and she had a blood alcohol reading of 0.167. So both drivers have been reported for drink driving. They've lost their licences and had their cars impounded. And we also had mid-range recordings over the weekend by the motorcycle cops up in the Barossa.
Okay. What's it take to get the message through to some of these people, Jen?
It's really hard because, we do the campaigns, we try different things for these people to be alert, and at the end of the day, they've just got no regard for themselves or the other motorists. So it's really hard to get that message home to them.
It's disappointing for sure. Jen, great policing as always. Thanks so much for your time this morning on 5AA Breakfast.
Thanks, guys. Have a good day.
You too. Jen Cullinan there from South Australian Police. And it is frustrating, isn't it? Because they're not toys, and once you get into a vehicle, you're not putting just yourself at risk, but other motorists on the road as well.
That's an extraordinary reading, 4 times over the limit.
Huge figures. Yeah, really disappointing.
7 to 7 now on 5AA Breakfast with Michael Smyth and Tom Rehn. Let's head to the US now, where 7 Bureau guru David Woerwood is standing by. David, welcome to 5AA Breakfast.
I like that intro. Thanks, guys.
Well, I was going to call you Bureau Chief, but I don't think technically you are you? I don't think Ms. Mullaney would be too happy about that.
It is, no, it's Ash, yes. I'm her trusty lieutenant, yeah.
7 Bureau, second banana, David Woerwood joins us now. But some serious news. I mean, I know that you were on the ground after that dreadful school shooting in Uvalde, Texas, and there's a head has effectively rolled that the police chief there's resigned over the way that was all handled.
Yeah, so this was a guy, his name was Peter Arredondo, and he was the school police chief. It's a version of the local police chief, and his responsibility was for the school. Now, immediately after that horrific shooting, 21 dead, of course, the 19 students and the 2 teachers, he was put on leave, but he was holding this other position as well on the on the city council, rather. So he was a local councillor. So for the last few council meetings in the 40 days that have passed since that shooting now, people have been turning up really demanding from him answers as to why those police delayed for so long inside the halls of the Uvalde Robb Elementary there and didn't actually engage that active shooter. They were wanting to know answers to that. and he simply wasn't turning up to his council meeting to answer that. And so there's been no real detail given surrounding that. Why did he make that decision at the time? People want those answers, particularly those parents, as you could well understand. So he has now retired or resigned his position. He released a statement saying that after much consideration, it's in the best interest of the community to step down as a member of the City Council to minimise those further distractions. Now, investigations are still going on, but what it means is that Peter Arredondo it doesn't look like providing any further detail to the community.
Just seems bizarre, and you can understand, parents and loved ones looking for something to be angry at, but I guess the bigger issue, the bigger picture, David, is a lot of people over here, and it's easy from afar, but just wondering, when is there going to be any kind of reform on gun control? Is that any closer? It seems things might be reaching a tipping point over there, but they're so in step with their constitution, it seems like things may never change.
Yeah, exactly. And just to your first point as well, yes, there is a lot of anger directed at Peter Arredondo, but it was the teen gunman, Salvador Ramos, that actually ran through that classroom and took those lives. So it is just a focal point for that community anger. They need to sort of funnel that somewhere else. In terms of gun laws here, there was some sort of high hopes off the back of this tragedy that there would be some changes, that there would be a bit of gun law reform. And certainly there was that bipartisan group of senators, and that's where this legislation kept on getting stuck. So there was this group of bipartisan senators, and a few weeks ago they did come to an agreement, but it was incredibly modest, especially by Australian standards. So this was just a beefing up of things like red flag laws, so people with mental illness or who have had prior convictions, background checks, more universal background checks for people under 21 wanting to buy semi-automatic weapons. So very, very modest. So no, the short answer is that there isn't a lot of hope that there's going to be any major changes now when it comes to those gun law reforms. In fact, the Supreme Court here in the United States has been striking down some laws in states as well, essentially allowing more people to carry weapons concealed. So it doesn't appear that this is actually sending America down that path.
Which is extraordinary, just makes you wonder and fear for the day when it's all going to happen again. David, as always, love your work, 7 News US Bureau. Not the chief, but the trusting lieutenant, as you say.
Banana, I think we're going with. Yeah.
Second banana. Good on you, David. Thanks so much. We appreciate your time. And of course, Louis at Ascot Park points out today is July the 4th. It's American Independence Day.
Yeah, it is.
Today.
Yes.
Did you bring some hot dogs in for breakfast?
No, I didn't. Gee, I would have liked some of those. A few fireworks as well. Just set them off here at Home Mask. We might get in a bit of trouble if we do that. We're coming up to the news, but plenty more coming up after 7 o'clock, Michael. We're going to be talking to Jack Batty, the member for Bragg, by-election on the weekend, so looking forward to having a chat with him.
Waffeth in margin. What does he have to do to retain the seat? You would have thought in the past that it was a ticket for life in politics or as long as you wanted, being blue ribbon as it was, but it's now much more of a line ball issue. Can't wait to talk to him. And Slava Gregorian is going to join us to talk about the Adelaide Guitar Festival, which starts this week.
We might go back to some of your school days when you were a guitar extraordinaire. Is it fair to say that?
Yes, with my chavupchichi fingers.
Timmy Ginniver to talk plenty of sport as well. You are listening to 5AA Breakfast.
If you're planning an event, whether it's a small meeting with the latest in reliable technology or a large gala dinner full of glitz and glamour, you'll experience event excellence on every level at the Adelaide Convention Centre. Excellence in understanding your needs and delivering them to exacting standards is what we do. And we don't just aim for excellence, we go beyond. So for your next excellent event, the team is ready and waiting at the Adelaide Convention Centre, the centre of event excellence.
For over 38 years, Steinborner has been well worth the trip. With over 400 used cars to choose from, you're sure to find the car you're looking for. Steinborner is your first choice for new Hyundai and Mitsubishi in the Barossa, and your first choice for Ford in Clare. And don't forget, you can always click through the collection of vehicles online at steinborner.com.au. Great local deals on great local cars from your locals. Steinborner Automotive. Still well worth the trip, or well worth the click.
I'm Kathy Nagel, the Chief Executive Officer of Western Hospital at Henley Beach. Did you know that Western Hospital specialists are some of the most experienced in South Australia? We've handpicked our surgeons and physicians to ensure you are cared for in a compassionate and trusted environment. Your health is our priority as we provide care in our one-stop healthcare hub. For more information on our specialist team of surgeons and physicians, visit westernhospital.com.au. bowlscreening.com.au. Your hospital that cares.
Question: did you receive a bowel screening test kit in the mail? See, if you thought, nah, this won't happen to me, then please think again. Do the test, then head to the Smyth win page and tell us in 25 words or less how you maintain and enjoy a healthy lifestyle. You could go into the draw to win a prize pack valued at up to $150. Remember, bowel cancer takes more lives than breast, prostate or skin cancer, but 90% of bowel cancers can be treated successfully if found early. Get to it today.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube. Online, on DAB Digital Radio and on 1395 AM. Talking Adelaide. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Partly cloudy, 16 today with the 7 o'clock news. I'm Mel Usher. Adelaide Airport is preparing for a busy week. The first Air New Zealand flight from Auckland in almost a year will touch down this morning. Fiji Airways also returns to Adelaide today with its first direct flight since 2019. And the start of school holidays is expected to see a record number of passengers passing through the terminal on Friday. The estimated 30,000 will be the highest number since before the pandemic. The Prime Minister is pledging a further $100 million in military aid to Ukraine. Anthony Albanese has visited devastated areas near Kiev, saying he was shocked by the destruction of civilian houses. Mr Albanese says the support for Ukraine will continue.
Australia will today announce an additional $100 million of military support, bringing our total spending to almost $390 million.
Ukraine's military has confirmed it's been forced to withdraw its troops from the embattled eastern city of Lysychansk. The BBC's Danny Eberhardt has more.
Ukraine's military said it made the decision to pull out of Lysychansk to save its soldiers' lives. Patriotism and what it called a will of steel were not enough for them to defend the city, it said, given that Russia enjoyed multiple advantages in terms of artillery, aviation, ammunition and troop numbers. Ukraine's military said its forces needed more resources. It's been calling for more heavy weapons from Western allies for weeks. It is not confirmed that the whole of the Luhansk region has fallen into Russian hands, but that seems to be imminent if it hasn't already happened. The capture of Luhansk would mark a symbolic victory for Russia in its push to take the wider Donbass region.
Another rate hike is looking likely this week. The RBA is set to move on the official cash rate when it meets tomorrow. It comes as inflation also continues to rise and isn't expected to fall until next year. In Sydney, floodwaters have forced thousands of people from their homes and thousands of others are waiting to hear if they'll also have to evacuate. 69 evacuation orders are now in place across Sydney's west, southwest and northwest. The Hawkesbury River at North Richmond has exceeded levels. The State Emergency Services Ashley Sullivan says it's important for people in affected areas to stay up to date.
64 evacuation warnings current for that area. That means a large portion of those communities have already been asked to evacuate, and a large portion of those communities are on standby to evacuate.
Security has been stepped up across Denmark in the wake of a mass shooting. Several people have been killed after a man opened fire at a shopping mall in Copenhagen. One person has been arrested. Police say terrorism hasn't been ruled out. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Check out Gliderroll Garage Doors' new Timber Look Native Series sectional doors. Gliderroll.com.au.
It's over to Jace Kemp.
Thank you, Mel. Port Adelaide will arrive home this morning after their 8-point loss to Fremantle. The Power fought back from being 40 points down in the third quarter. Ken Hinkley praised his team for never giving up.
Fremantle stepped up and got total control around the ball and controlled the shape of the ball a lot. Put a bit of a gap on us. We nearly could have won, couldn't we? If you look at the game and you look at the shots that we had and the chances we didn't execute at the end. But when you put yourself that far behind, you probably don't deserve to win.
Still on footy, and former Bombers coach James Hird has ruled himself out of the GWS coaching position. Hird has backed interim coach Mark McVeigh to take over the role permanently.
I think James is in a position in his life where he's got a lot of things going on, and he just wants to help the Giants and become the club that we all think we can be.
Following their wild match at Wimbledon, Nick Kyrgios and Stefanos Tsitsipas have been fined. Craig Gabriel reports.
Kyrgios won the match in 4 sets and reached the last 16, but there was plenty of angst in the match. Kyrgios tried to get Tsitsipas defaulted for hitting a ball into the stands, and the Greek tried to hit the Australian with some returns. Tsitsipas was penalised a point and said Kyrgios was bullying. The match was reviewed by authorities. Tsitsipas has been fined $10,000 for unsportsmanlike conduct, and Kyrgios has received a $4,000 hit for an audible obscenity.
Kyrgios will be back on court later tonight. To racing, and Aussie Daniel Ricciardo finished 13th at the British Grand Prix, while Ferrari's Carlos Sainz claimed his first Formula One race. Finally, New South Wales and Queensland will name their teams this morning for next week's State of Origin decider. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
At Athelstone, burst water main on Gorge Road between Bermuda Court and Corkscrew Road. Got a road closed there both directions at the moment. In the Parklands, Rundle Road is closed between East Terrace and Kettleville Terrace for the Illuminate Festival. Brooklyn Park, look out for Stobie Pole Works, Henley Beach Road near Holbrooks Road. That's as you're heading towards the beach. And we're getting busy at the moment, South Road at Mile End. Keep an eye out for camera 2. Military Road at Westlake Shore. Tomorrow's car is in stock today. Tech drive a Hyundai Tucson Turbo Diesel at your Hyundai dealer and experience innovative tech and all-wheel drive performance. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Now the 5AA forecast, partly cloudy, 16 today, partly cloudy tomorrow, 16. Then Wednesday, mostly sunny and dropping to 14. Right now it's 9 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast.
Statewide Super is now Host Plus, an industry super fund for all Australians. That's a plus.
And we'd love to give you plenty of reasons to listen to 5AA Breakfast this morning. Michael, Smyth, Tom Rehn with you here until 9 o'clock. We're going to be here all week, and then David and Will, they'll be back next week. But it's fantastic to be sitting in the chair. We've got a big hour coming up as well. We'll talk some sport with Timmy Ginniver in the next 20 minutes or so. We're going to talk to the director of the Adelaide Guitar Festival, Slava Gregorian, just after 7:30. Best of Blakey as well, so a lot to look forward to this hour. But right now, Michael, it's time to talk some politics because there was a big by-election over the weekend.
Yes, all eyes on the seat of Bragg, where a replacement was being chosen for Vicky Chapman. And it's fair to say that even some seasoned long-term observers of South Australian politics were stunned by this result. This was once a very blue ribbon, very safe Liberal seat, taking in suburbs like Burnside, Hazelwood Park, Tusmore, Leabrook, Marriotteville, now suddenly considered reasonably marginal. Big swing against Vicky Chapman at the state election back in March. Voters giving the Libs another walloping at the weekend, something like a 7% swing in the primary vote. The Premier saying he's surprised how close Labor actually came to winning the seat. Jack Batty is the man who's held it for the Libs, just. Jack Batty, welcome to 5AA Breakfast and congratulations.
Good morning, Tom and Michael, and thank you very much.
You said that a win is a win, but surely you're expecting a bit more of a comfortable win than this one.
Well, it's a great honour for me to be elected as the next member for Bragg, and I want to thank the people of Bragg for placing their trust in me to be their next local Member of Parliament. Look, I've been saying for quite a while, there's no such thing as a safe Liberal seat anymore. I've never taken this seat for granted, and I never will. I treated it as a marginal seat throughout this entire campaign. We worked enormously hard to get out there in our community and listen to what matters most to members of the community.
How much of this was about election fatigue? Did you get a sense when you were campaigning that the voters in Bragg were simply sick of going to the polls?
Look, I think some voters were a little bit frustrated about the timing of the by-election, but by-elections are notoriously difficult, and they're difficult at the best of times, and as you say, this was pretty much the worst of times. We had just suffered 2 devastating election defeats, and there was a bit of voter fatigue about returning to the polls, which is why we ran a really positive campaign, a campaign where we talked about the future and using this as an opportunity to refresh and renew our Liberal team.
And Jack, what are you going to try and do now to, I guess, shore up that buffer that, you know, has long been synonymous with the seat of Bragg? You've got 3.5 years to do it. Is that now sort of the mandate for you?
Well, I'll be working extremely hard every single day to represent the people of Bragg. I'll do for the next 4 years what I've done over the last 4 weeks. We knocked on over 3,000 doors throughout the course of this campaign. We telephone canvassed into over 5,000 households. You've got to front up. You've got to get out there and listen to what matters most to the community. And that's the approach I'll be taking as the member for Bragg.
David Spears made it clear when you were pre-selected that you weren't his first choice. How much damage did that do?
Look, you can't win them all, but I think David Spears has been an incredible support to me over the last 4 weeks. He's been in Bragg nearly every week. We had the entire Shadow Cabinet out door knocking for me in Bragg. It's been a genuine pleasure showing him around my local community and my local area, and I'm really excited about joining his team.
7:09 on 5AA Breakfast with Tom Rehn and Michael Smyth. Jack Batty is with us, the newly elected member for the state seat of Bragg after the by-election at the weekend. Jack, I was mentioning to Tom earlier that since this seat was officially drawn up in 1970, there have only been 3 members. They've all enjoyed a very long tenure. Basically, if you were pre-selected for the Liberal Party in Bragg, you had a job for life. It's not necessarily the case going forward, though, is it? I mean, this is going to be tough for you to retain.
I think that's absolutely right. There's no such thing as safe Liberal seats anymore. I've got to work extremely hard, and that's exactly what I plan to do over the next 3.5 years, and hopefully be re-elected as the member for Bragg in 2026, and indeed hopefully put an alternative government to the people in 2026, so we can get back on track.
What are your political ambitions? Do you see yourself as a minister one day?
Well, I just won an election yesterday. I'm still waiting for the poll to be declared. So all I want to be at the moment is the member for Bragg, and I want to work every single day to represent my local community. I want to try and door knock the entire electorate over the next year and get to know the people of Bragg and what matters most to them.
It's a good point that you make. You're yet to be officially declared the winner because there are something like 9,000 pre-poll and postal votes to be counted. Does that make you anxious at all, given that it's such a slim margin at the moment?
Look, with over half of the vote counted, it was really pleasing to win election day, which means I think we can be quite confident that we will win the by-election and that I'll be the next member for Bragg.
And what did Alice Rolls have to say when it appeared that you'd won?
Alice gave me a call yesterday morning. It's been really great to get to know her and her family over the past 4 weeks. She ran a tremendous campaign, and I congratulate her. She congratulated me on what she described as what looked like my likely win, and also on my campaign. It was a really good, clean fight, and it's been really good to get to know her.
The Greens seem particularly pleased with yet another increase in their vote in Bragg, up another 5% since March. What do you think explains that? Are people just disaffected? Are they disillusioned with the major parties?
I think it's partly that, and I think it's partly the people of Bragg sending a message that they care about the environment. I also care about the environment. It's an important issue for my generation and the next generation, and I want to focus on practical action we can take to address these issues rather than just virtue signalling. And I want to show people that if they care about the environment, they can still vote Liberal.
Have you heard from Vicky Chapman?
Vicky Chapman, I'm sure, is very carefully watching the results over the weekend.
She hasn't run to congratulate you?
I've been messaging with Vicky, but she's actually on safari with her grandchild in Africa.
Not at Monato? No.
No, a bit further away.
All right, Jack Batty, congratulations and good luck for the next 4 years.
Thanks so much, Tom and Michael. Appreciate it.
Jack Batty, yet to be officially declared, but most likely next Liberal member for the seat of Bragg, despite the significant swing against the Liberal Party in the by-election at the weekend. And as I said, still something like 9,000 votes to be counted over the next couple of days.
He doesn't seem too concerned about that, though, does he? And we expect that will be officially declared. And as you say, Michael, it seems as though there has been a fair bit of election fatigue in that seat. I mean, 3 elections they've had to go through now, in the space of 3-4 months. It's a lot, and I think people tend to get pretty annoyed when they have to go back to the polls so soon after an election.
Generational change. He's only 31, and as I said before, if you were pre-selected as the Liberal candidate for Bragg, you could be in state parliament for the rest of your life, but it sounds like he's going to have to fight hard to retain it if that trend continues. People shopping around for alternatives.
14 minutes past 7 o'clock here on 5AA Breakfast. Let's find out what is happening on the roads as we start to head towards peak hour.
Good morning. Look out for a smash this morning at Plympton, Marion Road, Anzac Highway. Athelston, we've got a burst water main there this morning at Gorge Road. That's between Bermuda Court and Corkscrew Road. Got a road closed there too, both directions. And in the Parklands, Rundle Road is closed between East Terrace and Kettleville Terrace for the Illuminate Festival. Busy South Road at Mile End with cameras today, Airport Road, Brooklyn Park, and Main North Road at Enfield. Bridge closure on Old Murray Bridge tomorrow from 9:30am till 2:30pm. Details and detours at dit.sa.gov.au/Old Murray Bridge. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Leon Biner.
Traditionally, when we've talked about jobs, the problem for South Australia has always been unemployment. Currently, SEEK, and that's just one of many, they have more than 11,000 job vacancies in this state.
9 till 12 weekdays.
The biggest need is in administration, manufacturing, construction and hospitality. This means that we may have to rely on migrant labour to fill these vacancies.
SSA as Leon Biner. SSA as AA.
Hey, it's Jodie Oddie. Join me on July 23rd for Samri's Bright Walk, a powerful one-night challenge raising $500,000 for life-saving research. Bright Walk will last a few long hours, but its impact will last generations. In the wintry night, Bright Walk will test your grit, but you'll be inspired by bright lights along the secret path to the Cheese Grater building. Dare yourself to help Samri reach health breakthroughs. It's not too late to join me and register or donate today at samribright.org.au.
Hello, I'm Lynn Andrews. For over 50 years, we have specialised in commercial and residential property management. But above all, we specialise in people, helping to make life easy for property investors and the tenants of their properties. Everyone is treated with integrity and respect. That's the Lynn Andrews way. For commercial and residential property management, we are here to help. Visit lynandrews.com.au.
If you or someone you know is aged 50 to 74, then this is a very important message about bowel cancer. I'm with Tanya from Cancer Council.
Hi Tom, it's so important. Did you know that bowel cancer takes more lives than breast, prostate or skin cancer?
I reckon that'll come as a surprise to a lot of people.
But the good news is 90% of bowel cancers can be treated successfully if we catch them early.
And it's why everyone aged 50 to 74 gets a free screening kit in the mail.
Exactly. So if you have the kit lying around at home, this is a reminder to take it to the bathroom and get to it. It's quick, it's clean, and it's really easy to do.
And it could save your life. Need more information? Head to bowelcancer.org.au. Thanks, Tanya.
Thanks, Tom.
If you're looking for a personal alert system for an elderly loved one in the family, there's only one company I can recommend. You guessed it, Care Alert. If ever there was a time you need to have the ability to get emergency help while alone, it's right now. Whether you have a sudden illness or a nasty fall, a press of a button and help can be on its way. That's real peace of mind. Care Alert, your safety companion. Call 1300 75 85 95 or go to carealert.com.au.
The mid-year event is on at Solitaire Maserati. With the Levante SUV available for immediate delivery, now is the time to own one of the world's most desired luxury performance brands. Book a test drive at solitairemaserati.com.au. DL 65541.
9 News has the experience to break the news. Made in Adelaide for Adelaide. 9 News.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast.
Statewide Super is now Host Plus, an industry super fund for all Australians. That's a plus.
18 minutes past 7 o'clock on 5AA Breakfast. Michael Smith and Tom Rehn with you in the chair. And Michael, you're normally coming on 5AA Breakfast once a week to do your Flashback segment, which is an absolute highlight of the week. And you're going to do a bit of a shout-out this morning because something pretty significant happened some half a century ago.
Well, I need some help, Tom, and you're Tea Tree Gully's favourite son, just about, aren't you? So this is your neck of the woods. You might be able to help me. You might know these people. I mentioned today is July the 4th. It's American Independence Day. But it's also a significant wedding anniversary. In 1975, a couple called Robert and Marcella Scott got married in Tea Tree Plaza.
In Tea Tree Plaza?
In Tea Tree Plaza on the
Wow.
upper level. It was basically a big promotion for the shopping centre. So the wedding dress was supplied by one of the local dress shops. The hair salon did the hair. Suit supply, Orlando did the wine. Balfour's made a cake. The couple got married with 300 guests, shoppers, in the Tea Tree Plaza shopping centre. Paul Macon, late of 5AA, was the celebrity groomsman.
No.
And they had somebody from A Touch of Elegance as the bridesmaid, Jay Walton. So I'm trying to track down Robert and Marcella Scott, who were married on this day in 1975 at Tea Tree Plaza. They had their wedding reception at the Drum and Oar, just up the road there in Ridgehaven. They spent a night in the Barron Townhouse in Hindley Street and then flown on Ansett for the honeymoon at the Gateway Hotel in Perth. The last I found of them was that they were at Strathalbyn, but Adelaide is a small town. Let's prove that by the end of the week there really is only 2 degrees of separation in this town. If you know Robert and Marcella Scott, who got married on this day in Tea Tree Plaza, maybe you were there as a guest in 1975, give us a buzz and we'll see if we can track them down and reunite them for this flashback segment that I'm trying to get up.
I love it. 47 years ago to the day, married at Tea Tree Plaza. Okay, let's head on over to sport now. You can book your service online at North Point Toyota to win the cost back. It's the North Point Way.
Tim Ginniver.
Yes, the one and only Timmy Ginniver. He would have been watching, I'm sure, very closely the game yesterday between Fremantle and Port Adelaide. Timmy, I was in the chair with Sam Tugwell and Hammer Hartlett, and we were a little bit flat heading into the last quarter, but then from nowhere, Port Adelaide came from the clouds and almost could have pinched it if not for a couple of misses late in the game. How did you see the match yesterday?
Oh, look, Tommy, before I get on to it, mate, I can't believe this. I can help you. I was at Tea Tree Plaza in 1975.
No.
Yeah, I was shoplifting. Sorry about that.
Security's still looking for you, Tim.
I love it. Hey, look, yeah, what a game. I thought Fremantle really outplayed Port Adelaide for really the second and third quarters, and you thought, well, this is why they're up in the top 4 mix at the moment, because they're playing some pretty good football. But yeah, Port Adelaide really turned it on the last quarter. I think the difference was Charlie Dixon went into the ruck in that last quarter and really took Sean Darcy on, who had pretty much dominated the game in ruck and controlled that area. And they really did beat Port Adelaide up in clearances. And that last quarter, it all turned around, and some old faces went in there like Robbie Gray to start clearing the ball out, and Port Adelaide made a charge and kicked 5 in a row, and it was on. And there was some sort of missed opportunities late that could have really put some pressure on, but in the end, it was just the second and third quarters just weren't up to scratch, and that put them too far behind.
Spot on, Timmy. I guess it begs the question now, if Scott Lycett doesn't play this week, should Charlie Dixon play in the ruck almost permanently? Because he was the fire starter for them. He was just fantastic in that last term. He got them going in a big way.
I actually thought, we spoke to Charlie on Friday on the show, and I was saying, can you start? Can you start in ruck now? Because I think it was about conditioning, and he said, no, I'm feeling good in the tank now, and he was pretty much up for it, I think. So, look, I think, and Scott Lycett, let's face it, he's had a long time out. I think he's going to definitely need a run at that SANFL level. So I'd be starting Charlie and getting straight in there and doing what he did in that last term.
He was exceptional. Disappointing they couldn't get the result. Hopefully they can get it done this Saturday night against GWS. You'll be calling that one. The Crows against Melbourne. They had a crack, Timmy, which they've done in most games this season, but just the class of Melbourne, Petrarca, Oliver, when they need to turn it on and give their team a lift, they're just absolute weapons, and they were just a bit too good.
Again, I thought Crows played some of their best footy, especially first half, and you were sort of going, well, when's this going to break open? Because it didn't look like it. And I think it was, some of the performances, I thought Riley in ruck was fantastic, the big fella, and he had a real crack at it. And I just thought that they were mixing it up with them around the footy, which was probably the one area they were worried about. They're worried about maybe getting the bigger bodies beating them, but I reckon it took Melbourne all stops to pull it out to get that win, and that's probably a credit to the way the Crows played. And if they were at that sort of standard, they'd beat a lot more teams. That's for sure.
Now, Timmy, as one of Alberton's favourite sons, I'm a little reluctant to ask you about what happened to the Magpies on Saturday. Yeah,
I got to say, it's a real concern, and the system as it is at the moment, if your list is depleted, you're going to probably struggle, and that was top versus, basically a bottom team. And I don't think it's great for anyone. You don't learn from games like that. That's a 2-goal loss or 21-goal loss. It's just way too big, and I don't think the Roosters are getting anything out of it, and certainly the Magpies aren't getting anything out of it. So, yeah, it's a real concern for me moving forward.
And Timmy, just on the tennis, looking good for the Aussies. 4 Aussies through to the round of 16 at Wimbledon, which is, really good to see. And not surprisingly, Nick Kyrgios in the headlines. What did you make of his little tete-a-tete with Stefanos Tsitsipas? Gee, no love lost there.
Yeah, no, I don't think those two will be getting married at Tea Tree Plaza. I absolutely loved it. And look, well, it's a bit controversial, you name it, but I tell you what, it was the fireworks that you love seeing. So, look, the tennis is going well. I'd love to be there. That's one of my bucket lists. If I keep filling up that tip jar, I'll get there one day to see a Wimbledon centre court game. It'd be fantastic.
Now, to me, I don't want to alarm you, but I think someone from Tea Tree Plaza Security's just turned up here at 75 Highmarsh Square. They want those bangles you nicked back in 75.
I love it. All right. Thanks, boys.
Great
Good
stuff,
chat.
Timmy. Always good. And Timmy G will be on the show tonight, does a brilliant job, and he'll be tuning in or broadcasting to you from 4 o'clock today. So make sure you stay tuned for Timmy Ginniver with the sports show a little bit later on. Book your service online at North Point Toyota to win the cost back. It's the North Point way. And gee, I'm excited. It might be a bit blurry-eyed tomorrow with Wimbledon on Smithy, because we've got Jason Kubler, Nick Kyrgios, Alex de Minaur, Isla Tomljanovic, all through to the round of 16. Exciting times. A chance to get through to a quarter-final for all 4 players.
You love your tennis, don't you? You do a great job hosting down at Memorial Drive and across at the Australian Open.
And you are a bit of a music buff as well. You don't mind your sport, but we're going to be talking to a guitar festival director just after 7:30 this morning.
Slava Grigorian, he's one of the best in the world, toured with Paco Peña amongst others when he first started out. What a great person to learn from. Flamenco guitar would be a fantastic thing to be able to play. 16 degrees in Adelaide, partly cloudy today, similar conditions tomorrow. Expecting a couple of showers around the place on Thursday. 8223 0000 is our number. We're trying to track down Robert and Marcella Scott. If you wondered why Tim Ginniver was banging on about Tea Tree Plaza, this is for a flashback segment I'm trying to do. It's their wedding anniversary today. On this day, July the 4th, 1975, they were married at TTP. If you know them, if you were there, give us a buzz. I want to track them down.
Come on, we need some help. Michael needs some help. Let's get this flashback segment going.
I'm Kathy Nagel, the Chief Executive Officer of Western Hospital at Henley Beach. Meeting the national safety and quality standards for healthcare settings is a requirement for all private hospitals. This is part of our commitment to you, instilling confidence in providing a quality of care you deserve. Choose a private hospital who is proud to show you their results against the national safety and quality standards. Western Hospital, your hospital that cares. Visit westernhospital.com.au.
Yep, you got what, Ants?
Oh, bummer. So you'll get rid of them then?
See this badge? It says Pest Inspector, not Pest Exterminator.
So hang on, I need to pay another guy to do what you just did, but they can actually fix the problem.
Pretty much.
House Inspect Australia does pest inspections too. They're licensed to track pests and licensed to kill pests.
Show-offs.
Protect your biggest asset with a combined building and pest inspection from House Inspect Australia. Go to houseinspectaustralia.com.au.
For over 38 years, Steinborner has been well worth the trip. With over 400 used cars to choose from, you're sure to find the car you're looking for. The team at Steinborner have been buying up the best vehicles around, so you can enjoy your first drive back from Gawler in one. And don't forget, you can always click through the collection of vehicles online at steinborner.com.au. So, Steinborner Automotive is still well worth the trip, or well worth the click.
Here at FIVEaa, we're all about supporting local. Bowel screening saves lives. If you're aged 50 to 74, do the free test kit mailed to you. It only takes a few minutes. Need more info? Visit bowelcancer.org.au.
The Adelaide Central Market is open and it's not going anywhere.
You might notice some changes as the exciting new market expansion gets underway. But don't worry, your favourite traders, your weekly fruit and veg, your fresh seafood and morning coffees aren't going anywhere. It might be expanding, but the market you know and love is open throughout all stages of construction with easy undercover parking. Shop at the Adelaide Central Market. Trading as always, Tuesday to Saturday.
Hi, Susanna Toop here. 30 days. That's the average time a rental property stays vacant. But at Toop & Toop, we find tenants in half the time, saving landlords an average of $860 a year. Who are you trusting to look after your biggest investment? Toop.com.au.
City Discount Tires. Get saving this month at City Discount Tires. When you buy 3 Falcon Zeek ZE914 car tyres, you'll get the 4th tyre free. The perfect tyre for cost-saving, fuel efficiency and performance. City Discount Tires are a proud multi-tyre and wheel brand retailer offering great service at great prices. Visit citydiscounttires.com.au to find your nearest store. City Discount Tires. We're driven by value.
City Discount Tires. 5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Partly cloudy and 16 today with the 7:30 news. I'm Mel Usher. The number of flights into and out of Adelaide continues to grow. The first Air New Zealand flight from Auckland in 11 months will arrive this morning. Fiji Airways also returns today with its first direct flight since 2019. The Liberals are set to retain the seat of Bragg despite a close contest on the weekend. The departure of Vicky Chapman just months after the state poll, forcing the by-election in the eastern suburbs seat. Liberal Jack Batty has told 5AA Breakfast he's looking forward to getting to work.
With over half of the vote counted, it was really pleasing to win election day, which means I think we can be quite confident that we will win the by-election and that I'll be the next member for Bragg.
Cabinet's Emergency Management Council is due to meet today. There are concerns about the low COVID vaccination rates in children. Increased case numbers interstate are also expected to be on the agenda. The Prime Minister has made a surprise visit to Ukraine. Katie Fuller reports.
It's the first ever visit of an Australian PM to Ukraine to witness the devastation of the Russian invasion firsthand. Anthony Albanese has been in 3 towns near Kyiv where atrocities were allegedly committed against civilians. Reuters is reporting a local governor says the Prime Minister saw demolished civilian houses, traces of mines and a destroyed airport. He says Mr Albanese told them Australia supports Ukraine and wants to see justice.
Mortgage holders could be facing another rate rise this week. The RBA meets tomorrow. Economists are tipping more increases in the wake of inflation. There's been a shooting at a shopping mall in Copenhagen. The death toll is unconfirmed. It appears the gunman had a deer rifle. A man in his 20s has been taken into custody. It's being treated as a possible act of terrorism. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Gliderall Garage Doors, adding strength, safety and style to South Australian homes for over 40 years. Gliderall.com.au.
And it's over to Jace Kemp.
Thank you, Mel. Port Adelaide's hopes of playing finals are hanging by a thread after its 8-point loss to Fremantle. Charlie Dixon sparked a comeback late in the match after being 40 points down. Ken Hinkley praised the big man's efforts after being thrown into the ruck.
Yeah, I think actually Charlie could be an elite ruckman. I honestly believe that, but we know how good he is as an All-Australian full forward for us too. So with the emergence of Todd, it's allowed us to be a little bit flexible with being able to put Charlie in there with Jeremy as well, because we've had our hands tied with our ruck situation for a good bit of time, you know. So we've had to work around that.
To tennis, Nick Kyrgios has been fined $4,000 after his fiery clash with Stefano Tsitsipas at Wimbledon. Tsitsipas is fined $10,000 for unsportsmanlike conduct. The Greek called the Aussie evil and a bully after their match.
He has some good traits in his character as well, but when he also has a very evil side to him, which if it's exposed, it can really do a lot of harm and bad to the people around him.
To racing, and Ferrari's Carlos Sainz has won the British Formula One Grand Prix after escaping a major crash at the start of the race. Well, finally, soccer superstar Cristiano Ronaldo has told Manchester United he wants to leave the club to play in the Champions League. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
At Waterloo Corner, a smash on the north-south motorway off-ramp at Waterloo Corner, delays outbound. Plimpton, a smash on Marion Road, Naranzac Highway. Athelston, burst water main, Gorge Road, that's between Bermuda Court and Corkscrew Road. Road closed both directions there, and getting busy South Road at Mile End. Cameras today, Frederick Road Grange and Main North Road at Hillbank. Not every god has a plan. Don't miss Marvel Studios' Thor, Love and Thunder, starring Chris Hemsworth, Natalie Portman, and directed by Taika Waititi, in cinemas July 6. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Now the 5AA forecast, partly cloudy for your Monday with a top of 16, partly cloudy tomorrow in 16, Wednesday mostly sunny 14, Thursday a shower or two 15 degrees. Right now it's 9, more news as it happens on 5AA.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast.
Statewide Super is now Host Plus, an industry super fund for all Australians. That's a plus.
And it's Michael Smith and Tom Rehn with you at 25 minutes to 8 o'clock. We're going to be through until 9. Then it's Leon Biner who'll be taking over in the chair. We'll be here for the rest of the week. Then David and Will be returning after a couple of weeks off.
Well, Tom, whoever said that there's nothing to do in Adelaide in the depths of winter? The curtains just come down on Tina Arena's fantastic Cabaret Festival. The city's being lit up by Illuminate. More events coming online as part of that this week. And on Saturday night, the Guitar Festival begins. And the guitar wizard behind the festival is its artistic director, Slava Grigorian. Slava, welcome to 5AA Breakfast.
Good morning, gentlemen.
You've been at the helm of this for, 12, 13 years now? I think this is your 8th festival. It's now an annual event. How challenging does it become programming every year rather than every 2 years?
Oh, look, I think there's a better flow for both the programming perspective and also for audiences to rely on something arriving and stimulating all of us every year. I think in many ways it's actually easier.
We think of the Guitar Festival as typically being based in and around the festival centre, but I'm intrigued to see you've got a lot of regional events going to places like Tumby Bay, Cleve, Crystal Brook. Tell us about that.
Oh, look, yeah, the on the road program that we've got has been growing every year since 2016, and this time around, we've got about 14 different towns outside of Adelaide. As far as Streaky Bay, where we're taking the Guitar Festival to these communities and sharing, a snapshot of what the festival is all about.
That's fantastic. And Slava, is that off the back of demand? People just wanting to, see a lot of these performances and acts?
Look, absolutely, but also, I mean, we really want to connect with people who can't be here because of geography and other reasons, and it's wonderful for those local communities who can't get away at this time of the year, but also for the artists to to travel out there to connect with other local artists who are based there. We're always looking at meeting and involving locals that are on the ground there, and then potentially getting them over to Adelaide to share the spotlight on our main stages.
Slava, I mentioned to Tom just before the 7:30 news that some of your early touring was done with the great Spanish guitarist Paco Peña. How much were you able to learn from him, and how difficult is it to play flamenco? Because it looks extremely difficult from a punter's perspective.
Oh, look, it is very, very difficult, and I have to say that I've never actually played flamenco properly. There are lots of connections, obviously, between classical guitar and the traditional folk music of Spain, which is flamenco, and there are lots of wonderful flamenco players who actually do both well and understand both well. Paco, of course, being one of those. In this year's program, actually, we have a chap by the fabulous name of Jose Maria Gallardo del Rey, and he's coming here from Spain in a few weeks' time, and he's one of those bridges that connects the early classical music composed in Spain with what happened flamenco-wise.
Slava Grigorian is with us, the director of the Adelaide Guitar Festival, which starts this weekend. I see as part of the festival there's a guitar expo on. What sort of things will be on display at that, Slava?
Oh, look, we'll have a selection of wonderful local makers, both classical, acoustic seal string instruments and electric guitars, who over the very busy part of the festival, which is the week starting the 18th of July, they'll be set up in the Dunstan Playhouse foyer, and as audiences are coming through, they'll be able to, look at these instruments, chat to the makers, try them out if they want to. So it's, a really, really important platform for us to connect with the local, extraordinary minds who are creating beautiful instruments right here on our doorstep.
And Slava, for those that haven't been to a festival before and want to be involved, what's the best way and how should they go about getting some tickets?
Oh, look, just head straight to the Guitar Festival website, which is just AdelaideGuitarFestival.com at the festival centre, and all the information's up there. The ticketed shows, we've got tons of free events happening as well. There's the immersive guitar, which we've acquired, which is basically a combination between an actual venue, a space for people to be inside, and an instrument that's going to be out on the festival plaza. And the other classes, workshops. There's a Yamaha exhibition that's going to be running throughout, and lots of great things to be involved with outside of the ticketed events.
Sounds exciting. Just on actual guitar playing itself, Michael and I were discussing this morning what it takes to be a good guitar player. He played in his early formative years.
Oh, I was terrible, Slava. I've got fingers that are like cevapcicis, those sausages, and I wasn't very nimble around the neck of the guitar. Can anyone be taught to play? Is it too late for me to have another go? Is the question.
Exactly.
No, look, I think that the beautiful thing about the guitar is it's here for everyone right now. It's like the piano. It's actually, it's not hard to get a sound out of it. It's not as hard as a wind instrument or the violin or something like that. So, to learn a few chords, to be able to start strumming is actually quite simple. And once you're there, then you've got the whole kind of world of possibilities in front of you. And there are so many great examples of amazing players that started, traditionally later than what you would think. So people in their late teens and 20s, and actually turned into some of the greatest players on the planet. But then so many stories of people picking the instrument up later in life, and it being a companion and a source of focus for them and involvement for the rest of their lives. So it's a wonderful thing for anyone to get involved with it at any stage.
There's hope for me after all. Slava Grigorian, thank you so much for joining us on 5AA Breakfast.
Thank you, guys. See you soon.
Great stuff, and that all starts this weekend.
Yes. I'll be touring the world with Paco Pena in a couple of weeks. Then I'm going to enrol for a guitar lesson this afternoon. You can bring your trumpet along, or we can do a world tour, Tom. What do you reckon?
I love this. Yep, exactly right. We're going to do a bit of moonlighting outside of what we're going to be doing here. We'll still be here, of course, for the rest of the week, but we'll be practicing and getting ready for that as well on the side. 18 minutes to 8 o'clock. Things starting to get a little bit busier on the roads. Let's check out exactly what is happening right now.
At Waterloo Corner, a smash on the north-south motorway off-ramp at Waterloo Corner delays outbound. Plimpton, a smash on Marion Road, Naranzac Highway. Alphelston burst Watermain Gorge Road, that's between Bermuda Court and Corkscrew Road. Road closed both directions there, and getting busy South Road at Mile End. Cameras today, Frederick Road Grange and Main North Road at Hillbank. Not every god has a plan. Don't miss Marvel Studios' Thor, Love and Thunder, starring Chris Hemsworth, Natalie Portman, and directed by Taika Waititi. In cinemas July 6. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
G'day South Australia, Cheats here. Over the years I've seen some great South Australian teams, but the best has to be the team from BL Shipway, who I've known for over 30 years. They've been looking after the state's hydraulic and pneumatic needs since 1953. You can find them on Richmond Road with stock on hand from quality brands like Ryco, Rexroth, Hydac and Enerpac. If you can't get to them, they'll send a Ryco 24/7 van to you anytime, anywhere. blshipway.com.au, a South Australian team you can count on.
It's hard to believe, but bi-urban bathrooms and kitchens may not be everyone's cup of tea.
If you're not fussed by sticky drawers, if you're not driven mad by looking at something that doesn't quite line up, if you don't appreciate millimetre perfect craftsmanship and service of the highest standard, then maybe bi-urban bathrooms and kitchens isn't for you.
But if those things are important and you want to live with a kitchen and bathroom you'll adore for many years to come, then you should speak with David Cox and the incredible team at bi-urban bathrooms and kitchens.
Yeah, Coxie's an absolute star. He's a perfectionist, does everything magnificently. And remember, it's not just about the amazing result, it's how you get there that really sets bi-urban bathrooms and kitchens apart from everyone else. biurban.com.au, Adelaide's home renovation experts.
Hi, Bronte Manuel from Toop and Toop. We've been helping Adelaide buyers and sellers for almost 40 years. That's why so many South Australians look to us for real estate advice. Right now, we're working with 5,697 buyers in Unley, 5,275 in Prospect and 4,864 in Wattle Park, all searching for their perfect property in these specific suburbs. If you're thinking of selling and would like to know how many buyers we're working with in your suburb, go to toop.com.au.
The mid-year event is on at Solitaire Maserati. With the Levante SUV available for immediate delivery, now is the time to own one of the world's most desired luxury performance brands. Book a test drive at solitairemaserati.com.au. DL 65541.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast.
Statewide Super is now Host Plus, an industry super fund for all Australians. That's a plus.
14 minutes to 8 o'clock here on this Monday, July the 4th, 5AA Breakfast. Michael Smith, Tom Rehn, pushing through until 9 o'clock this morning. We've just had a call. Raleigh rang in a car crash with a truck on the Southern Expressway, outbound at the Woodcroft exit. Emergency services are on site there. So we'll keep you abreast of what is going on there. 5AA Traffic will have the latest in the 8 o'clock news as well. But there's been a fair bit that's happened over the weekend on the East Coast, Michael, with regards to the weather.
Yeah, we might be complaining about how cold it is here in the middle of winter, but at least it's dry. Extraordinary rainfall totals in and around Sydney and south of Sydney in the Illawarra, the Wollongong region. Nathan Curry from Sunrise joins us now. Nathan, welcome to AA Breakfast.
Morning, boys. Good to be on.
Where are you this morning?
I'm in Penrith this morning. I'm one of our Melbourne reporters, but they've sent up the extra cavalry to try and cover this. And, the rain is coming down hard right now.
And understand that thousands of people have been evacuated overnight, and one of the main concerns is that people who've previously not experienced flooding in the recent floods earlier this year are being told that they are sort of now in the direct line of fire. How bad is it?
Yeah, well, where I am in Penrith, I was just chatting to the mayor before, and they said, for Penrith, this is the fourth time they've copped it in 2 years, but they said there's a real different feel to it this time. The rivers are flowing quite quickly, given all the rain that they've had previously in the previous month. So the areas are a lot wetter than they were when we got the first lot of floods earlier in the year. So that's why it is a little bit different. And yeah, as you said, some areas that haven't seen a lot of floods are now getting those evacuation warnings. One person I was talking to this morning said, residents are concerned they're not taking any chances. They've done this so many times, unfortunately, in this part of the world this year. So, they're certainly taking it very seriously this time around. So the worst of the rain is probably going to come today, so it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. And
Nathan, you mentioned that it's already raining quite hard there at the moment. Just how much rain has there been over the past 48 hours or so already?
Already over 100 mils, I'm pretty sure. And on the bomb app in Penrith today, it says expect somewhere between 90 and 140 mils. So It's certainly picked up in the last hour. So it's going to get pretty heavy, I think.
And I heard that around that Wollongong region south of Sydney, they've had something like the annual rainfall of Hobart in the last couple of days. What's the outlook over the next few days? Is there any relief in sight?
It's going to be like this for the next few days. And as always with the floods that we've covered over the past few months, even when the sky's clear, it doesn't mean they're out of the woods, because obviously all that water has to flow somewhere. Particularly on the Hawkesbury and the Nepean River where I am at the moment, it's going to be a nervous few days.
And Nathan, a lot of residents, as you mentioned, I'm sure, taking the precautionary steps of evacuating and leaving their properties, but some, I'm sure, are bunkering down and choosing to stay.
Yeah, that's right. Unfortunately for New South Wales, it's day one of school holidays today, so a lot of people have heeded the call and just cancelled whatever they had planned. Like the message is, don't try and head off and hit the road if you were planning to go anywhere. Just stay where you are, if you can, obviously. But yeah, they'd rather, if you don't need to evacuate, they would rather you stay put rather than trying to risk driving out there. We've already seen a few cars get caught up in the floodwaters. Unfortunately, we had a man die. He was out kayaking yesterday and had a medical episode, and they weren't able to save him. So yeah, the message is like, yeah, if you're not needing to evacuate, just stay where you are.
And so what's the advice for South Australians, Nathan, who might be considering heading to Sydney for the school holidays? Some kids are on holidays already. The rest of them break up later this week. What's the advice of that? Would the authorities rather people stay away at this point?
Yeah, definitely. And coming from my own experience travelling up to Sydney late last night, like the hour and a half trip from Melbourne to Sydney turned into a disaster. Like there was a 2-hour delay. It was an extra long plane flight. Just chaos. And it was all because of the wet weather, not the sort of baggage delays that we saw over the Easter school holiday. So, yeah, I'd probably advise that, yeah, if you were looking at coming to the Sydney area, at least this week, maybe see if you can change your plans. Maybe wait and see if the situation improves next week.
All right, Nathan, fairly dramatic scenes over there at the moment. A lot of rain, as you say, today, up to 140 millimetres. Stay safe, stay dry up there, and thanks so much for joining us on 5AA Breakfast.
Pleasure, anytime, lads.
Great stuff. Nathan Curry, 7 Sunrise reporter there. And as he said, it's pretty chaotic up there at the moment. And that advice, he's saying, if you can avoid heading up there, make sure you do so. I know a lot of people have probably got holidays booked in, so that is tricky, but it sounds like it mightn't be the best time up there.
There were certainly significant flight delays between Adelaide and Sydney yesterday. A number of flights cancelled, people being moved around. But yeah, good advice. If you don't need to be in Sydney, it's probably not a great place to be, at least this week, heading into the school holidays. Partly cloudy here today, no sign of rain. And we're pretty lucky over the next few days as well. A couple of showers around the place on Thursday, but generally fine, mild conditions. A little bit cold at night, down to 6 or 7 degrees, but we're very lucky here comparatively.
Coming up to 7:51 on 5AA Breakfast, time for the best of Blakey. Thanks to Aussie Fast Transport Solutions, interstate freight, distribution, warehousing and local Adelaide couriers. Call Aussie Fast 13 13 64.
G'day, Jono.
Hey, g'day, Steve. What's happening?
Oh, same old stuff. Just came off the air.
Oh, how'd the show go?
Yeah, had quite a few calls today, mostly about core flutes.
Core flutes?
Yeah, people really concerned that core flutes with politicians' faces looking at you with Liberal or Labor written across the front are pointless,
Oh, but they are, aren't they? Why do they do it every time we have an election?
Oh, I don't know, maybe ego. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, what's the point? If you don't know who you're going to vote for by then, you shouldn't be allowed to vote.
That's right. Okay, so what are we doing?
Well, we've got to come up with an advertising campaign for David and Will's breakfast show.
Oh, yeah, that's right. So how are we going to tackle that?
Well, look, I was thinking, how about giant billboards?
Billboards, now you're thinking. What are we going to put on them?
Well, here's my idea. We put David and Will's faces with 5AA written across the front.
Oh, that's great. And there's quite a few billboards available at the moment too.
Yeah, I know. And also, what about we paint a whole tram?
Oh, really? A tram? And what do we put on there?
Well, I was thinking David and Will's faces with 5AA written across the front.
Oh, my God, that is inspired. Great stuff.
Yeah, but I'm also thinking we could advertise in the newspaper.
Oh, right. What do we put in there?
Well, I was thinking David and Will's faces,
right,
with 5AA written across the front.
Oh, you are an advertising guru.
Yeah, thanks, mate.
I reckon the politicians should hire you.
Oh, yeah?
Then you can show them there's more to advertising than just putting their stupid faces on a stovey pole.
That's right.
With their logo across the front. Dumbasses.
There he is, Best of Blakey. We'll have the Best of Behind Closed Doors as well coming up in the next hour. Very clever man. He's actually on holidays as well at the moment, so hopefully not listening to you.
I'm pleased about that, Tom, yes, given what he did to me last time I was here. Yes, I'm pleased that Blakey's on holidays.
Did he have a crack at you?
We share a hairdresser. No, that's a running gag. He did have a crack at me, but it was entirely justified.
Someone we won't have a crack at, she does a magnificent job, is Susanna Toop from Toop and Toop Real Estate. Susanna, good morning. Hope you had a great weekend.
Yeah, good morning, Tom. Look, a really great weekend. We had a handful of auctions, and look, one of these was in Kensington. It was a 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom villa on 550 square metres, and it sold under the hammer for $1.21 million. And our property management team leased homes all throughout the week in Sturt, Crafers, Mayland, Woodford, Hyde Park, Norwood, Seaton, Bronson and Hawthorn. So we had a busy week helping tenants move into new homes as well.
Of course, all eyes, Susanna, will be on the Reserve Bank tomorrow. Another interest rate rise expected. But there's a way of first home buyers struggling to get into the market to get a bit of a leg up here. How does that work?
Yeah, look, so I think there is a lot of talk of a rate rise tomorrow, and I think that that's making a lot of first home buyers sort of going, oh, what's this going to look like with the changing conditions? And I think that, you know, certainly would not know in an environment like this where rates are rising like they have been. But what the good news is for first home buyers is that from the 1st of July, so from Friday, the National Home Guarantee Scheme, which is helping them get into the market, it opened up 40,000 places. So what this means is that first home buyers who are eligible are able to put down a deposit of just 5%, and if you are an eligible single parent, a deposit of as low as 2%. So that is some good news on the horizon for first home buyers, because ultimately that deposit can be one of the biggest hurdles to get into the property market, and so that's definitely been expanded now into the new financial year.
And Susanna, do you think that scheme will, legitimately help first home buyers?
Look, I think I think there's a lot of factors at play here to try and help people get into the property market. But interestingly, NAB have come out and said that 63% of all solo buyers that have purchased in the last 6 months were part of this scheme. So that's incredibly positive. And they've also said that they are seeing more younger and solo buyers getting a foot into the property market sooner, thanks to the scheme. So hopefully that continues as we sort of head through the next 12 months.
We saw the Commonwealth Bank increase their fixed rates going out for the next few years over the weekend. So there's every indication that these rate rises are going to happen almost on a monthly basis, Susanna. Are we seeing much of a dampening impact in terms of the sort of prices that people are prepared to pay in Adelaide, or would it have more of an impact in the bigger markets in Sydney and Melbourne where people are paying so much more for their homes?
Look, it's definitely having an impact, particularly on the eastern seaboard there. We've seen prices starting to come back pretty much right on when those rate rises started to come through. Here in Adelaide, we are still rising each month, albeit at a much lower rate. I think that's what we can expect here in Adelaide, is that we're not going to see the 25-26% year-on-year growth that we have seen over the last 12 months. I'm certainly not expecting that to repeat itself. That was an incredible event, that's not happened really ever to the housing market so quickly, having such big hikes like we've seen. So certainly prices, we're expecting them to hold. But look, it is, a lot of families are now looking to what their mortgage repayments are going to be on their homes, and it certainly is having an impact. So I think people now are just really considering what they want to buy, what their budget is, and certainly here in Adelaide, though, we are in a much more stable market than what you're seeing in Sydney and Melbourne.
Susanna, as always, thanks so much for your time on 5AA Breakfast.
Thanks, guys.
Susanna Toop there from Toop and Toop Real Estate giving us the update there on the property market. Coming up to news time shortly, but after 8 o'clock this morning, Smithy, we've got plenty more coming up. It's NAIDOC week, so a bit to get through there.
And we'll also find out about what's happening up at Monato. I don't think Vicky Chapman's up there on safari. It turns out she's in Africa. Wasn't here for the Bragg by-election, Jack Batty was telling us. So we'll find out what they're doing there. Lots of interesting things in terms of helping protect rhinos, amongst other things. And they've got that luxury hotel opening up there to really try and compete with that high-end safari experience that people have in Africa. You can always send us a text. We'd love your interaction this morning.
Because we want to get to the bottom of what happened on this day 47 years ago. A marriage, a ceremony happened at Tea Tree Plaza. We're going to help you with your flashback segment. So if anyone was there or knows of this couple, Michael,
Robert and Marcella Scott were married on this day, July the 4th, 1975, at TTP. You can send us a text on the Automasters text line 0448 08 1395, or you can give us a buzz, 8223 0000.
Keep those calls coming, keep those texts coming. This is 5AA Breakfast. Michael Smith and Tom Rehn will take a short break, then we're into the newsroom with Mel Usher and Jace Camp.
How do you know if the milk you're buying is local? Easy. Just look for 3 words. Flurio Milk Company. If the bottle you pick up has those 3 words on it, Flurio Milk Company, it's guaranteed to be local. It's guaranteed to be fresh too. And the big plus, you're supporting SA dairy farmers, and for that, we're forever grateful. 3 words. Flurio Milk Company. South Australian and proud of it.
When you're gone, who gets your vintage bottle top collection? The cricket bat you scored your first ton with? Or that precious family heirloom that's been handed down from generation to generation? If you don't have a will, you'll never know. Donlan Lawyers specialise in wills and estate planning. From the simplest to the most complex, one thing is certain. You can trust Donlan Lawyers to help protect your wishes. For wills and estate planning, visit donlanlawyers.com.
Nick Chigwidden from Physio Extra talks about how One Solution streamlined their business.
At Physio Extra, we needed to upgrade our IT and communication systems, which is critical to us having a successful business. We spoke to the guys at One Solution, and they provided us with a fantastic strategy on how we could bring our phone and our IT under the one roof. The ongoing service and support they've provided us is also excellent. I certainly recommend One Solution for any business.
Visit onesolution.net.au, winner of the National Telstra Customer Experience Award.
Hi ladies, Heather from Rehn Fashions. We're in the final weeks of our closing sale and all of our stock is now on the floor. Winter, summer and special occasion garments all at half price. Take advantage before it's too late. Come into Rehn Fashions and purchase quality garments for all seasons at half price. You'll never get this opportunity again, ladies, so hurry in before we close. Rehn Fashions half price closing sale, 491 Portrush Road, Glenunga.
9 News has the experience to break the news. Made in Adelaide for Adelaide. 9 News.
Online, on DAB Digital Radio and on 1395 AM. Talking Adelaide. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Partly cloudy, 16 today with the 8 o'clock news. I'm Mel Usher. The number of flights into and out of Adelaide continues to grow as travelling restrictions enforced during the pandemic are relaxed. The first Air New Zealand flight from Auckland in 11 months will arrive in Adelaide this morning. Fiji Airways also returns today with its first direct flight since 2019. And Adelaide Airport is forecasting close to 30,000 passengers will pass through the terminal this Friday as school holidays kick in. That's the highest number since before the pandemic. A Liberal win is looking likely in the seat of Bragg. Jack Batty is in the box seat after Saturday's by-election, which was prompted by Vicky Chapman's exit. But support for the Libs has dropped off since the state election in March. Mr Batty has told 5AA Breakfast his Labor opponent Alice Rolls rang him yesterday.
It's been really great to get to know her and her family over the past 4 weeks. She ran a tremendous campaign and I congratulate her. She congratulated me on what she described as what looked like my likely win and also on my campaign. It was a really good, clean fight and it's been really good to get to know her.
5 drink drivers have been caught in the Barossa over the weekend. Senior Constable Jen Cullinan says the highest reading was 4 times the limit at Springton.
A 37-year-old Mount Pleasant man recorded a blood alcohol reading of 0.219, and then a 26-year-old female was also stopped at Sandy Creek on Saturday, and she had a blood alcohol reading of 0.16.
The Prime Minister says he is shocked by the atrocities committed in Ukraine. Anthony Albanese has become the first Australian leader to visit the country. He's described the loss of homes, lives and use of force in civilian areas as devastating. Meantime, Ukraine says a Russian cargo ship carrying Ukrainian grain has been detained in Turkey. The Kremlin says it's not a theft, but rather export of goods from a territory it controls. Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov is denying allegations it's been stolen.
This food crisis is being used for a variety of purposes, not only for propaganda, to clear Ukraine's name and once again blame everything on Moscow.
A man has opened fire at a shopping mall in Denmark. Police are working to determine whether the deadly shooting in Copenhagen is a terror attack. Police Chief Søren Thomasen says they're yet to establish the gunman's motive.
Around 5:30 today, the Copenhagen police was notified of a shooting incident at the Fields shopping centre in Amager. When we arrived at the scene, we were able to establish that there were many people who'd been injured, and we now also know that several people have been killed. At the scene, we detained a suspect near the shopping centre.
The Queen's duties have been scaled back. The state opening of Parliament and overseas state visits have been trimmed from the list, but the 96-year-old monarch will still receive foreign ambassadors and visits from heads of state. Now Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Check out Gliderroll Garage Doors' new Timber Look Native Series sectional doors. Gliderroll.com.au.
Here's Jace Kemp.
Thank you, Mel. Let's start with footy. In Port Adelaide are currently flying home from Perth after falling 8 points short against Fremantle. Lockie Jones and Dan Houston suffered injuries in the match. Coach Ken Hinkley says both will be assessed later today.
Not going to be Dr. Ken, but I imagine he's going to miss 3 or 4 weeks because of hamstring. Dan, we still haven't basically got a knock. We assess that and see how we go, but I'd be optimistic around Dan.
To tennis, Nick Kyrgios and Stefano Tsitsipas have copped fines after their fiery clash at Wimbledon. The Aussie will be back on court later tonight against American Brandon Nakashima. Craig Gabriel reports.
Kyrgios gets the biggest stage. He's on centre for the first time since 2019, while Brandon Nakashima, who he plays for the first time, has never been on that hallowed court. It could give Kyrgios a bit of a boost. Nadal has played all his matches there this year. He faces Botek van der Zandschulp.
It's a tough opponent, but we are in 4th round, so that's the way that it should be.
And Simona Halep plays Paula Badosa on centre, and her last time there was winning the 2019 title.
To racing, and Carlos Sainz has won the British Formula One Grand Prix. The Ferrari driver escaped a wild crash at the beginning of the race.
And the red flag has now come out to make racing redundant. That's where the car then is upside down onto the gravel and then it flips.
Thankfully, no one was seriously injured. The West Coast Fever are this year's Super Netball champions after defeating the Melbourne Vixens. And finally, in the Tour de France, Dylan Groenewegen has claimed stage 3 of the race for Aussie Team Bike Exchanged. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
At Paralawi, a smash on Kings Road near Whites Road causing delays. O'Halloran Hill got another collision there. This one's as you're leaving the Southern Expressway near the Paddle-and-Tinker Road off-ramp. At Waterloo Corner, another collision. This one's on the North-South Motorway off-ramp at Waterloo Corner. Delays outbound. And we're getting quite busy South Road at Mile End, also Anzac Highway as you're heading into the city. Cameras Main North Road, Hillbank and Rosetta Streets at West Croydon. With Amplifier Premium Fuels and Amp Charge electric vehicle charging rolling out across Australia, Ampol powers our way of life. Ampol, Australia's own. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
The 5AA forecast heading for a top of 16 today and partly cloudy. The same tomorrow. Wednesday mostly sunny and 14. Thursday a shower or 2, 15. Right now it's 10 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Don't mess with a missionary man.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast.
Statewide Super is now Host Plus, an industry super fund for all Australians. That's a plus.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast, 6 minutes past 8 o'clock. It is Monday, July the 4th. Michael Smith and Tom Wren with you. We're going to go through until 9 o'clock this morning, and we're here for the rest of the week. Then David and Will, they will return next Monday.
And Tom, this week is NAIDOC Week, a great opportunity to celebrate Indigenous Australians and cultural heritage. NAIDOC originally standing for the National Aboriginal and Islander Day Observance Committee. You might have seen over the weekend that Ash Barty was named Person of the Year for her achievements at Wimbledon and the Australian Open, and Buddy Franklin was recognised with the Sportsperson Award. All sorts of events planned across Adelaide this week to help foster better understanding, all sorts of exhibitions, talks, workshops, footy matches. I said there's even a specially designed tram running around to celebrate NAIDOC Week. Joining us now in the studio is Rebecca Wessels, who's a former chair of Tandanya and the owner of the creative industries firm Ochre Dawn. Rebecca, welcome to Breakfast.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
I understand that one of your great passions is preserving Indigenous language and culture. How much of an opportunity does NAIDOC Week provide to do that?
Oh, it's such a great opportunity because we've just seen a real surgence in the last few years of businesses, government departments, charities, even small businesses get on board with celebrating Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander culture and taking that as a learning opportunity as well. You know, we see people, even our leaders of the community, learning the acknowledgement of country in Ghana now, which is so great, and just having a better understanding of local cultures and our history.
And there seems to be sort of a real embracing of Aboriginal heritage as well. I was watching Julia Zamiro's home delivery the other night, for instance, and Ray Martin was on, and he was speaking so proudly of his Indigenous bloodlines. That's something you wouldn't have seen generation ago. It's really being embraced now, isn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, if you look back in the past, people hid it. It was illegal to speak our languages and things. So, today, even my own daughter is, learning local languages here, at school, which is beautiful to see.
Because there were hundreds of Indigenous languages in South Australia alone, weren't there?
Absolutely. Across the country, we have about 250 still alive, probably a little bit more than that when you include dialects and things, but there were thousands originally.
Well, Rebecca, we were talking just off air a moment ago saying that recognising our history and our culture probably isn't something we have done in the past, but as Michael alluded to, there's a lot more awareness. We're shining the torch on it a lot more. This could only be a positive thing, surely.
Absolutely. We obviously talk about the fact that there's a long way to go, but to see it becoming more commonplace and more common in everyday conversation, it's not just for special events. Yes, there's NAIDOC and Reconciliation Week, etc., but, it should be an all year round observance.
Well, just on that, NAIDOC Week and Reconciliation Week, what is the difference between the two?
Great question. Sometimes we see a little bit of a copy and paste between the two in terms of celebrations, but specifically NAIDOC Week this week is about celebrating Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander cultures, language and the achievements of First Nations peoples and their nations. And whereas Reconciliation Week, which was just over a month ago, is more around, obviously there's been a lot of hurt in the past, acknowledging that, trying to close the gaps that there are between non-Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples and First Nations, and walk together and actually come together and reconcile. So therefore this week is just really about shining a spotlight on First Nations people and cultures and celebrating that.
The theme this year is Get Up, Stand Up, Show Up. How are you interpreting that?
Just taking action. I think, get up, get off the couch and stand up for what is really important and what maybe stirs you up. It could be in the workplace where you actually, speak up around what you might see as not right. There could be racism in the workplace, and that's a hard topic to approach, but it should be talked about. Looking at a board that you're on and saying, well, there's not a lot of diversity here. We should invite our First Nations colleagues to the table. That sort of thing is sometimes the little things make the biggest impact.
We saw on election night, one of the first things that Anthony Albanese said when he won the poll was that he was committed to the Uluru Statement from the Heart. We're likely to have a referendum in the next 18 months or so to amend the Constitution effectively. How hopeful are you about that process and the wheels being in train?
It's incredibly important. I think just the fact that it is a topic of conversation and that there has been some commitment both nationally and even here within our own state government is, it is a really beacon of hope for our community and our mob because, there can be a lot of talk and when there's actually people listening to the voices of First Nations peoples, that's what the Uluru Statement was. It's a voice that actually needs to be listened to and actioned.
How much of NAIDOC Week is about celebrating culture and tradition, and how much of it is an opportunity to really shine the spotlight on some of the more serious issues, social disadvantage, housing, welfare, employment opportunities and those things, or do they necessarily sit together?
Sometimes they do, absolutely. I mean, when you look at celebrating First Nations peoples who have been change makers for history, and what have they stood for? What have they actually made a change for in our community? And, if you rewind just 5, 10 years or 50 years, how have those people and communities rallied together to make some significant change? And so I guess in celebrating their achievements, we are shining a light on those deep issues.
Rebecca Wessels was with us on 5AA Breakfast at 8 with Michael Smyth and Tom Rehn. What are some of the main events that people should keep an eye out for this week in Adelaide then?
Oh, there's countless. I think sometimes it's even your local councils are celebrating in a beautiful way. I've seen a few cultural tours that have been booked and people getting on board because, to be able to look in your own backyard and understand, COVID has kept us on home soil lately, and a lot of people have said to us, I didn't even know the history of my own backyard. So sometimes it's in music and theatre and things as well. Check out and support some local First Nations performing artists. All performing artists have been hurting the last couple of years, so supporting them would be fantastic. I think as well, being able to support and get to know your local community could be Aboriginal corporations and Aboriginal services and businesses as well, being one. We definitely appreciate the support. Because, to understand that, we can actually buy from First Nations businesses and help support them, and that in turn has a really significant impact on Aboriginal employment and other procurement opportunities as well for the broader community. When you buy from one business, it supports many others, and they in turn employ Aboriginal people too. So it has a really important ripple effect.
It certainly does. And Rebecca, I was going to say, a lot of listeners, I'm sure, tuning in this morning wondering how they can learn more about the Indigenous culture and the Aboriginal Torres Strait Islander culture. What is the best way if they're sort of listening and thinking, how do I be involved? Is there a website or somewhere they can go to perhaps learn more?
Oh, there's plenty. I think, generally speaking, there are websites, these days Google, you can find anything. Yep. I mentioned First Nations businesses. There's websites like Supply Nation that give you a directory of Aboriginal businesses that you can buy from. There's also a fantastic First Nations Entrepreneur Hub here at Lot 14 in the city, and they support First Nations businesses as well, and you can just reach out to them and say, hey, I'd like to connect with somebody. There are a lot of learning resources through the universities, or even Towndy Aboriginal College at Port Adelaide are a wonderful community learning resource there. And then, sometimes I think, yes, you can read books, you can get online and watch some documentaries that are really powerful and share history and some, current day celebrations as well. But I think also what we miss is building the relationships with First Nations peoples and their communities. So rather than just read about it and watch something, to actually, connect with the humans is, I think, what is more powerful. And hear the stories. Us mob love to have a yarn. So, going down and maybe seeing that there's an opportunity to do a weaving class with the local aunties, and weaving's a great opportunity to have a yarn and learn about history and culture and their stories, or carving with the local men's shed or something like that. Because when that human connection happens, that's when the really deeper learning and understanding happens. And
I see you've got a big family fun day on at Flinders Uni Stadium on Saturday. What can people expect if they head down there?
Oh, I think any of those family fun days are a great opportunity to connect, as I said, with the humans. It's about reaching out and other businesses and supporters in terms of food and fun and music and things like that. So, those are a great opportunity to bring the family along and, have a good day out and connect with each other.
Good on you, Rebecca. Thank you so much for coming in today and sharing your experiences, and all the best as we celebrate Indigenous culture this week as part of NAIDOC Week.
Thanks so much, guys.
Great stuff. Thanks so much, Rebecca. It's 16 minutes past 8 o'clock here on 5AA Breakfast. Time to head out to the roads and see what is happening with the traffic.
At Paralawi, a smash on Kings Road near Whites Road causing delays. O'Halloran Hill, another collision there. This one's as you're leaving the Southern Expressway near the Panalatinga Road off-ramp. Plympton, look out for a crash on Marion Road near Anzac Highway causing delays. And we're busy right now South Road at Mile End. Cameras, Blacktop Road, One Tree Hill and Frederick Road at Seaton. A little bit of help brought to you by NRMA Insurance, who are proud to be helping right across South Australia as part of the same family as SGIC. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Speak with One Solution and they'll tell you cybercrime is not a big business problem, a government problem or a small enterprise problem. It's everyone's problem. Ransomware, malware and adware remain the #1 threat. One call to One Solution will put your business in a safe place. It's the smartest, most cost-effective business decision you'll ever make. Get in touch with One Solution, winner of the National Telstra Customer Experience Award. onesolution.net.au.
You deserve to enjoy doing what you're passionate about. Gardening, for example, or walking to keep fit. So if your body is stopping you from enjoying the life you want, come and see us at SportsMed. Our Stepney Healthcare Hub includes our own hospital, orthopaedic surgeons, doctors, physios and podiatrists. So we can see to your care from diagnosis to rehabilitation, all in one place. Easy. Get back to doing what you love. sportsmed.com.au.
Now, Michael, tax return, it's done.
Really? It's the 4th of July, champ. Have you got you done already?
I'm organised. I'm done.
Really? I've just got last year's in. Anyway.
Refund on the way.
Stick to the script.
Okay.
Yes. Tick.
Good. What to do with it, though? This is the question. Well, of course, you can replenish your emergency fund. Then replenish yourself and get that Puritap.
Now is the time to join Puritap's war on waste by reducing single-use plastics. You'll get great-tasting filtered water that'll replenish you forever.
So what you need to do is head to Puritap, the website now, and check out the amazing prices. How good is this? A Puritap from only $49 up front. That is pure value.
That's a designer tap, installation and filters for 2 years on a great payment plan.
Call Puritap on 133 502. That number again, 133 502. Or head to the website, puritap.com.au. Some T's and C's apply.
Building amazing homes is important to Beechwood Homes, and so is the environment. So when you build with Beechwood, you're building a better environment for our kids and grandkids. Here's why. Around 70% of scrap materials from every Beechwood home is recycled. Bricks, rubble, timber, gyprock and steel, none of it goes to landfill. It's all sorted and recycled. So life really is good. It's even better in a Beechwood home. Google Beechwood Adelaide today for a better future for all of us.
Ever wondered if retirement living would suit you? This winter, come along to our free FIVEaa open home events and get a sneak peek of the lifestyle you could enjoy. Explore our communities, inspect our display homes and chat with our friendly team. With 12 events across Adelaide from the 12th to the 16th of July, we look forward to welcoming you. Attendees must be vaccinated and all events will operate with a COVID-safe plan. Take the first step and search FIVEaa Open Home today. RSVP is essential.
9 News has the experience to break the news. Made in Adelaide for Adelaide. 9 News.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast.
Statewide Super is now Host Plus, an industry super fund for all Australians. That's a plus.
Coming up to 20 minutes past 8 o'clock on 5AA Breakfast, Michael Smyth, Tom Rehn with you. Michael, I've got to kind of work it out. What do I call you for the rest of the week? Is it Michael? Do I need to be formal? Is it Smithy? Is there another nickname I need to call you? We need to get sort of in step here with
Well,
each
it's confusing because at Channel 7 I'm known as Brian, and there's a long story behind that. That's a hangover name that I got at Channel 9 a long, long time ago.
Right.
I was having a photo shoot with Rob Kelvin one morning, and the general manager walked in and said, "Hello, Rob." "Morning, Brian." And sort of stuck from there, which is quite handy because we have a Mike Smith and a Mark Smith at Channel 7, so there's already a Smithy and a Smitho, so I'm just Brian.
So you're So it was mistaken identity. We actually did a segment last week where we were talking about when you've got someone's name drastically wrong. Well, that one was a bad one. You got called Brian.
And it's quite confusing because you go out to do shoots with cameramen and they refer to you as Brian the whole time. And the talent's looking at you going, "I thought your name was Michael. What's going on here, Tiger?" So we'd love your calls today for workplace nicknames. We've got something to give away. If you'd like to head to the Beer and Barbecue Festival, we might be able to rustle up some tickets for you. The best workplace nicknames. I worked with someone once, I feel terrible even relating this story, that we used to call the kumquat because she was small, bitter and useless. Isn't that awful?
Did she,
I still
was she
feel
aware
bad.
Was she aware of this nickname?
I hope she didn't ever find out, but I feel terrible. I came up with that one. It was a very apt description, I've got to say. I also worked with someone who was known as the lantern because they were dim and had to be carried. 8223 0000 if you'd like to share your workplace nicknames for a potential opportunity to go to the Beer and Barbecue Festival. Another one was Pothole, because there's the sort of person you'd spend all day trying to avoid. And Blister is that person who always turns up once the hard work's been done. You work with a few of those?
Yeah, work with a few of those. I'll tell you what, this is these nicknames, not too many of them are going to be called to their face, are they?
No.
I like it though. There's some thought behind them. Mine are usually just, typical sporting vernacular. Rennie, Macca, Jono.
You got Colo and Raggy at Channel 9.
Colo and Raggy, yeah.
We've got Doily at Channel 7.
We want your best work nicknames this morning.
Keep them clean.
Keep them clean,
They can't be any meaner than the kumquat. Small, bitter and useless. That poor woman.
Oh, goodness gracious. All right, well, let's get to some of the calls then. We've got Steve, who's given us a buzz from Kilkenny. Steve, good morning.
How are you going, buddy?
Yeah, not bad.
Our foreman's called Noodles because everything takes 2 minutes.
Is that a good or a bad thing, Steve?
A bit of both.
All right. Thank you. 8223 0000. We're talking workplace nicknames this morning.
Let's go to Rhonda. Rhonda, what's a work nickname you've come across which you quite liked?
I'm called Rhonda, so I'll start singing Help Me Rhonda.
Yeah, you'd have to be known as Help Me, wouldn't you?
Pardon?
Does that ever get boring? Is King Canute in the office as well?
Yes, I say back to them, I'm fat out of helping myself.
Good idea, Rhonda at Semaphore Park. Bill's on a mobile this morning with a workplace nickname for us. G'day, Bill.
Yeah, g'day, matey. Your handbag, because you had to carry them all the time.
Yeah, good one. That's a bit like the lantern one that you had.
Yes, Dimon had to be carried, handbag. Thank you, Bill. Dean's at Craigmore this morning on Double A Breakfast. G'day, Dean.
How you going, lads?
Good, thanks, Dean.
Well, we work with a bloke and we nicknamed his Mirrors because every time he was the boss and every time you come up with something, he goes, oh, I'll look into that for you. I'll look into that for you.
That's a bright idea that I've come up with, looking in the mirror. Good on you, Dean. Thank you.
We'll keep going. We've got Dee, who's given us a call as well this morning. Hello, Dee.
Hello, guys. Good morning to you.
And to you as well, Dee.
We named a girl, I used to work in a florist shop in the city, we named a girl Tail Light. She didn't know that, but she wasn't bright enough to be a headlight.
You're terrible, Muriel. Thank you, June. Mark's at Newton this morning. Hello, Mark.
Hi, lads. How about crayfish?
Yeah.
All body and a head full of, shall I say, excrement.
Oh, you worked with a few of those, have you?
No, just one.
Just one.
Like it. Let's now go to June, who's been waiting. Hello, June.
Good morning.
What's the nickname that you've come across in the workplace?
Well, my manager calls me Pixie Dust because I put my magic all through Camper Agent.
Oh, I like that one. That's a nice positive one.
That's a positive one. It's nice to have been called Kumquat, isn't it?
Yes, I know.
Good on you, June. Thank you.
And Terry as well from Clemsig. Hello, Terry.
G'day, boss. Hey, when I used to work for Westrail in WA, we used to have a lad there, and they called him Jungle.
Jungle?
Thick and dense.
God, people can be mean, can't they?
God, there's some good ones.
I'm glad I'm just called Brian in the office. They
Yeah.
probably call me other things when I'm not there.
Well, I was going to say, I just get called Rennie, but I'm sure there's a few behind my back that I'm not aware of. Mike as well, maybe to round us out for now. Hello, Mike.
Yeah, g'day, fellas. When I was a junior in the old savings bank, my charming workmates used to call me Opie, which is short for opium, a slow-working dope.
That's great, Mike. Thank you. We'll take more calls before 9, I think, 82230000.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, one more. Gee, I'll tell you what, they've come in thick and fast. This is great. Don from Salisbury Downs. Hello, Don.
Oh, g'day, mate. Yeah, we had one bloke called Aspro because he was a slow-working dope.
I'll tell you, speaking of work nicknames, you ought to work with this guy at Channel 9, Brenton Harris, editor, still
Yes,
there.
Mork.
Been there for 40 years. His name's Mork because one day about 40 years ago, he wore a blue vest like the Mork from the TV show, and it's just stuck ever
Robin
since.
Williams, Mork and Mindy. Is
Mork
that
and Mindy,
right?
yeah,
I
Mork.
never knew why he was called. I didn't know what his name was for about 2 years when I worked there.
I had to email him one day, and I typed in M-O-R-K, and I'm like, it's not coming up.
It's not
Mork,
coming up.
what's your email address?
Auto-predict. Who's this Mork guy? What's the Mork guy's real name?
Had no idea. I think
I often had people in the office trying to send emails to Brian, and they're going, what's your real name?
Gee, well, I'll tell you what, there's some good ones there.
Oh, yes. Noodle, tailgate, crayfish, pixie dust. We'll have to let Sam, I think, decide on this one. They're all too good.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good way of handballing. We delegate.
No responsibility.
That's the way we call it. Hey, what about this? It's just fantastic. If you know someone who is doing it tough and would benefit from receiving a Leader Computers Breeze 404 14-inch notebook, well, we want you to let us know, and maybe together with Leader Computers, we can help out. All you need to do is visit the 5AA win page and tell us in 25 words or less who should be awarded with a Leader computer and why. You might not know this, but Leader Computers is a national PC manufacturer, the largest 100% Australian PC brand, and they are all built right here in Adelaide. That means you're supporting the local SA economy while also getting the best local service and support. So whether it's a friend or a school or maybe a sporting club you want to nominate, get onto 5AA.com.au and let us know. Google Leader Computers to find your local closest Leader reseller.
Couple of late entries via the Automasters text line on 0448 08 1395 for the workplace nicknames. Matto says, we work with a bloke, we called him Seaweed. He floated around and did stuff all. That's a good one, Matto. Roger says, I work with a bloke we called Harvey Norman. 4 years, still no interest. I've worked with a few Harvey Normans as well. And Oz at Norton Summit says, we work with a bloke called Sensolite. Only works when someone's walking past.
Gee whiz, there's some good ones. Now, I think we have to pick a winner right now. Smithy, have you got one? Or should we give it out of the 8:30 news?
Let's keep them in suspenders.
Okay, we'll keep them in suspenders. Stick around. News is coming up next, and then we've got plenty more coming up here on 5AA Breakfast.
Hey, it's Cam and Ali with an important message about bowel cancer. So listen up.
Bowel cancer takes more lives than breast, prostate or skin cancer. But 90% of bowel cancers can be treated successfully if caught early.
That's why everyone aged 50 to 74 has a free test kit delivered every 2 years. If you have a kit, get to it. We've done it. It only takes a few minutes.
And those few minutes could save your life. Need more info? Head to bowelcancer.org.au.
My escape outdoors.
My life outdoors.
My family time outdoors.
My living outdoors.
My Christmas outdoors.
My escape outdoors.
My living outdoors.
My family time outdoors.
My living outdoors.
I love my outdoors.
At My Living Outdoors, we turn spaces into places to live your best life. Outdoors, no matter what that is. So do your outdoors with My Living Outdoors. Pergolas, verandas, decking and more. Visit mylivingoutdoors.com.au.
Now, Brian, do you or a loved one live in the northern suburbs of Adelaide and are in need of home care?
Well, Southern Cross Care understands that as we get older, we want to be able to enjoy a better life, and perhaps most importantly, they understand we want to be able to enjoy it in our own home.
Led by qualified and compassionate health professionals, their home care services will help you take care of yourself, your health, your home and your garden. Plus, there's no setup or exit fees with Southern Cross Care's home care services, giving you that extra peace of mind.
To find out more, visit southerncrosscare.com.au or call 1800 852 772. 1800 852 772. Southern Cross Care, better for life at home.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Partly cloudy, 16 today with the 8:30 news. I'm Mel Usher. Adelaide Airport is preparing for a busy week. The first Air New Zealand flight from Auckland in almost a year will touch down later this morning. Fiji Airways also returns to Adelaide today with its first direct flight since 2019. And the start of school holidays is expected to see a record number of passengers passing through the terminal on Friday. The estimated 30,000 will be the highest number since before the pandemic. Police in the Barossa caught 5 drink drivers over the weekend. The highest reading was a 37-year-old man who blew 4 times over the limit at Springton on Saturday night. Senior Constable Jen Cullinan says a 26-year-old woman was also caught more than 3 times over.
So both drivers have been reported for drink driving. They've lost their licences and had their cars impounded. At the end of the day, they've just got no regard for themselves or the other motorists.
The Prime Minister is pledging a further $100 million in military aid to Ukraine. Anthony Albanese has visited devastated areas near Kiev, saying he was shocked by the destruction of civilian homes. Mr Albanese says the support for Ukraine will continue.
Australia will today announce an additional $100 million of military support, bringing our total spending to almost $390 million.
Protests have erupted in the US after yet another black man was killed at the hands of police. Sophie Walsh has more.
Jalen Walker had upwards of 60 gunshot wounds after officers opened fire following a police pursuit. The 25-year-old's family say they gave chase after he failed to pull over for a minor traffic violation in Akron, Ohio. When Walker finally abandoned his car in a black ski mask, 8 officers unleashed a hail of bullets. Police claim Walker initiated the pursuit and they believed he was a deadly threat after hearing a gunshot coming from the car. They later found a handgun and a loaded magazine on the driver's seat.
The Wiggles have followed in the footsteps of major rock stars. The children's group has made the cover of Rolling Stone magazine, and they've ditched their multicoloured skivvies for the occasion. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Gliderall Garage Doors, adding strength, safety and style to South Australian homes for over 40 years. Gliderall.com.au.
Here's Jace Kemp.
Thank you, Mel. Let's start with tennis. Novak Djokovic has just booked a spot in the quarterfinals at Wimbledon. The defending champion managed to finish the match before the curfew came into play. Craig Gabriel reports.
Djokovic has reached the quarters for the 13th time from 17 appearances, and he did it by beating Tim van Rijthoven, who's had this amazing run on grass. The score was 6-2, 4-6, 6-1, 6-2. The win is Novak's 25th consecutive on grass, breaking the third-place tie he shared with Rod Laver. Novak will face Jannik Sinner, who beat Carlos Alcaraz in 4 sets. Cam Norrie kept local hopes flying, and he'll play David Goffin.
Aussies Nick Kyrgios, Alex de Minaur, Jason Kubler and Ayla Tomljanovic are on court later tonight. To footy, and the Crows will have a recovery session this morning while Port flies home from Perth after its 8-point loss to Fremantle. Ken Hinkley praised his men for fighting back after being 40 points down.
We nearly could have won, couldn't we? If you look at the game and you look at the shots that we had and the chances we didn't execute at the end. But when you put yourself that far behind, you probably don't deserve to win.
To Formula One, and Zhou Guanyu has survived a horror crash at the British Grand Prix. His Alfa Romeo flipped upside down on the first lap before sliding off the track. Thankfully, he walked away uninjured. Ferrari's Carlos Sainz won the race. And finally in the golf, JT Poston has won the John Deere Classic. Aussie Cam Davis finished 6th off the pace in 8th. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
At Paralawi, there's a smash on Kings Road near Whites Road causing delays. O'Halloran Hill, another collision there. This one's as you're leaving the Southern Expressway near the Penalatinga Road off-ramp. Waterloo Corner, another collision. This one's on the North-South Motorway off-ramp at Waterloo Corner, delays outbound. And we're getting busy at the moment, Tapley's Hill Road at Glenelg North. Cameras Main North Road, Hillbank and Prospect Road at Kilburn. Weight Watchers 60% off sale extended. Make healthy happen and lose the weight for good. Get 60% off at www.com. Hurry, must end today. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Now the 5AA forecast, partly cloudy, 16 for your Monday, partly cloudy tomorrow, 16, then dropping to 14 and mostly sunny on Wednesday, Thursday a shower or 2 and 15. Right now it's 11 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
If you want to feel great about the milk you pour in your tea and coffee, over your cereal or in your smoothie, make sure it's from the Flurio Milk Company, because it's a great feeling buying from people who love SA as much as you do. 3 words make all the difference. Flurio Milk Company. South Australian and proud of it. Phew, feel like a cuppa now.
Flurio Milk Company, celebrating 15 years of SA business. FlurioMilkco.com.au.
Please don't hold this against me, but if bi-urban bathrooms and kitchens is not your thing, well, that's that's okay. I mean, if people gushing over your new kitchen and bathroom means nothing to you, nothing at all, that's completely fine, I guess. But if you do appreciate millimetre-perfect craftsmanship and service of the highest standard, start here. Biurban.com.au. Adelaide's home renovation experts.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast.
Statewide Super is now Host Plus, an industry super fund for all Australians. That's a plus.
We're on the home stretch here on 5AA Breakfast. Michael Smyth, Tom Rehn filling in for David and Will, who will return on Monday next week. But we've been inundated with a stack of calls and text messages this morning on the Automasters text line, Smithy.
Workplace nicknames. This is your chance to win 4 tickets to the Adelaide Beer and Barbecue Festival. We have some very creative people in the 5AA family. Adam is at a footy club and says there's a player in the team with a bit of a wonky eye. They call him mortgage eyes because one's fixed and one's variable. 8223000 if you'd like to share your workplace nicknames. Getting plenty on the Automasters text line as well. Rachel says, morning guys, we called our old boss Yoda because she was so wise and knew all.
Oh, that's a nice one.
And I love this one, this one from Sticks. Hi guys, I know a bloke we call the Exorcist because every time he came to visit, all the spirits disappeared. That's a cracker, Sticks.
Keep them coming, 8223 0000. We'll give away that pass for 4 to the Beer and Barbecue Festival coming up.
Now, Monato Safari Park, where we learned earlier that Vicky Chapman is not on safari. She's in Africa, but they're doing all sorts of interesting things up there. We thought ahead of the school holidays we'd get an update on some of the conservation work they're doing and some of the augmentation of the facilities they've got up there. Peter Clark is the director of Monato Safari Park. Peter, welcome to 5AA Breakfast.
Yeah, good morning.
What's this insurance population you're building up there in terms of the rhinos? You're doing a lot of great conservation work. Tell us about that.
Yeah, okay. As you know, rhinos aren't doing very well in the wild, and we're actually working with the rest of the quite a few other zoos in our region, New Zealand and Australia, and trying to build up a reasonable number of animals so that we can help keep them going into the future. So we'd like to get up to at the moment there's about 55 animals in the two countries, but we would try and getting them up to about 100, and we think that's enough to sustain them again for probably 60 or 70 years, just in case.
I guess the great advantage at Monato is that you've got so much land to be able to accommodate these rhinos. That whole experience is being expanded, as I understand it.
It is. We're actually building a new safari experience with accommodation, which is about 550 hectares, so nearly 1,400 acres. And in there we hope to keep probably up to about 30, 35 rhinos, as well as many other different species that you would find in Africa.
Well, speaking of the safari experience, Peter, we're coming into school holidays now, and it's a great opportunity for young ones and even parents and grandparents to get up there and have a look around. It's a fantastic experience all round.
It is, and yeah, where things are picking up, we're getting back to normal, like a lot of businesses around Australia. And yeah, we had a good weekend. I think we're due for some good weather, so yeah, it's a great opportunity to get up here and get out and about. Especially if you want to go walking. I mean, I think there's nearly 13 or 14 kilometres of walking tracks out at Monato as well. So it's a great day out.
One of the things that's always appealed to me is the Lion 360 experience. How popular is that proving, where you can basically get in under the cage and have them crawl all over the top of you?
It's really, really hit the market. It's actually, it was when we designed that, we wanted to go a little bit the other way and have us, instead of us looking at lions, which you can do, of course, it's the lions coming over to look at you as well. So it's a bit of the reverse scenario, and they do. They come, all of them come over. We've got a pride of about 14 lions here, and you get anything from the adult males to the cubs coming right over to you, and in fact standing above you, or it's just an amazing experience. You'll never get that close anywhere else.
Peter Clark is with us, the director of Monato Safari Park at 20 to 9 on 5AA Breakfast. How far off is this hotel from being completed, Peter? And it's going to be pretty high-end, is it?
Oh, well, there's two different types of accommodation. They're putting the roof on now, so we're hoping it'll be in the first half of next year, so maybe around about March, April. But there's two types of accommodation. One is a 78-room hotel, and then there's the upmarket glamping opportunity. It has got its own lodge and 20 different safari tents, etc. And that is a bit more upmarket, but the hotel should be in reach of most people. Yeah. And
when will that be available exactly, do you think?
Well, we're not quite sure exactly, but we're looking at about March, April next year.
Okay.
Yeah, we also have to get our part of it done, which is a huge amount of work getting all the animals into the areas as well. We've already started, actually. So we've got one small area going, which we're experimenting with at the moment. And there's oryx, there's a herd of oryx, and there's a breeding group of zebra out there, and there's ostrich and antelope. And we're just about to put in some giraffe and some rhinos soon, too.
And Peter, if we finish where we began, back with the rhinos, how much progress is being made globally in terms of the war against poaching?
Look, they really are trying over there. We support a number of initiatives over there, with the rangers to try and stop poaching. But they've lost about, I think it's over 10,000 in the last 12 years in South Africa alone, and it is really difficult with the price of rhino horn, above that of cocaine. It's a big battle, but these people are absolutely trying their hardest over there to protect them, and so we do work in situ in that country as well with support for the rangers over there. Yeah, look, what we're doing is an insurance population. It'd be silly, illogical not to actually set up something where just in, that really bad scenario happens and they do become extinct, that there is basis to work from to get them back into the wild again one day.
Peter, thanks so much for coming on 5AA Breakfast this morning.
Oh, you're welcome.
Peter Clark there, Director of the Monato Safari Park, just bringing us up to date with everything going on there, and a great destination spot for the next couple of weeks. Well, all year round, really, for those that want to go up and have a look.
I'd love to do that Lion 360 thing. It'd be terrifying, but fun. 8223 0000 is the number to call if you'd like to be in the running for this pass for 4 people to attend the Adelaide Beer and Barbecue Festival on the 17th of July. We're talking about workplace nicknames today, getting a lot of feedback on the Automasters text line as well. One here saying we called someone at work showbags because they were full of SH1T. Kathy at Hope Valley says, I worked with a lady we nicknamed Motormouth because it never stopped running. And Robert on the Facebook live stream says, we called someone at work the ivory-billed woodpecker because he's a protected species. We've all worked with someone like that.
Oh, keep them coming. We have got, as you say, Smithy, a very, very clever crowd that is tuning in this morning. We'll take one more call as well on this. Phil from Bellevue Heights has got a nickname they had for someone in the workplace. Phil, good morning.
Yeah, g'day guys. We had a guy in the Air Force we used to call Mudgo because he was shiny on top and had nothing underneath.
Thank you, Phil. You're in the running as well.
Another one I had
Yes.
for a work colleague, well, it was actually that someone else that worked at a rival station, this was when I worked in Melbourne, he was called Showbags. Looked good on the outside, but when you inspected further, full of what.
Yes,
So,
not a lot in there. This is another one that tickles my fancy. Someone said they worked with a bloke who had one leg that was shorter than the other, so when he walked around the office, his head would move from side to side. They called him the Sniper's Nightmare.
Oh, goodness. That's outstanding. I love it.
0448 0813 95 is the Automasters text line if you'd like to be in the running.
All right, well, we're going to give away that, I think it's 4 tickets to the Beer and Barbecue Festival just before 9 o'clock. So we will do that. Before we go any further, though, we are in the midst of the traffic as you make your run into work and also drop off the kids perhaps at school. Plenty happening out there on the road, so let's have a check of what is happening.
Hello, Halloran Hill. A collision as you're leaving the Southern Expressway near the Panellantinga Road off-ramp. Waterloo Corner, another collision. This one's on the North-South Motorway off-ramp at Waterloo Corner. Delays outbound. And Plimpton, residual delays from an earlier crash, Marion Road near Anzac Highway. Athelstone Burst Water Main Gorge Road between Bermuda Court and Corkscrew Road closed both directions there. And we've got a camera Blacktop Road, One Tree Hill. If driving in traffic doesn't put you to sleep, a new Sleepmaker mattress will. From back pain to roll together to overheating. If it's keeping you awake, there's a Sleepmaker mattress that can help. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Hello, I'm Lynn Andrews. For over 50 years, we have specialised in commercial and residential property management. But above all, we specialise in people, helping to make life easy for property investors and the tenants of their properties. Everyone is treated with integrity and respect. That's the Lynn Andrews way. For commercial and residential property management, we are here to help. Visit lynnandrews.com.au.
Introducing the Kia Cars of the Year. The Kia Cars of the Year. The fully electric Kia EV6. The Wheels Car of the Year. And the Drive Car of the Year. The Kia Sportage. To pick your side in this sibling rivalry, visit kia.com.au.
Kia. Movement that inspires.
Tom, serious question. Do you sing in the shower?
Regularly. In fact, I think I do it most times. Can't help it.
Eco Advantage have something to get anyone singing in the shower. Thanks to federal and SA government initiatives, Eco Advantage could install your energy-efficient heat pump and save you thousands.
Saving money, saving the environment, and it could be for as little as no cost to you. You'd be silly not to. Electric hot water systems make up about 40% of our home power bills every year, but EcoVantage can pump this right down.
For little to no out-of-pocket cost, EcoVantage can swap your hot water system for an energy-efficient heat pump that uses about 80% less electricity, better for the environment and for your power bills.
So why don't you pump your power bills down with EcoVantage? That sounds like a great idea. Head to ecovantage.com.au to find out how you could take advantage of government incentives today. T's and C's apply.
City Discount Tires. Get saving this month at City Discount Tires. When you buy 3 Falcon Zeek ZE914 car tyres, you'll get the 4th tyre free. The perfect tyre for cost-saving, fuel efficiency and performance. City Discount Tires are a proud multi-tyre and wheel brand retailer offering great service at great prices. Visit citydiscounttires.com.au to find your nearest store. City Discount Tires. We're driven by value. City Discount Tires.
When you die, who gets what? Will your kids or relatives argue over your estate? Will your beneficiaries be protected? Will your estate be tax effective? Will your wishes be respected and carried out? Speak with Donlan Lawyers now for peace of mind. Donlan Lawyers for wills and estate planning. Visit donlanlawyers.com. That's donlanlawyers.com.
9 News has the experience to break the news. Made in Adelaide for Adelaide. 9 News.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast.
Statewide Super is now Host Plus, an industry super fund for all Australians. That's a plus.
Not long to go here on 5AA Breakfast. We've had a ball this morning. Michael Smith, Tom Wren with you. 11 minutes to 9 o'clock. Stick around though, because after 9 we've got Leon Viner coming up on the wireless, and he's got a big show up until midday. So looking forward to Leon Viner coming into the chair.
We've been taking phone calls this morning on workplace nicknames. The nicknames are here for your workmates after I revealed someone called someone a kumquat. I still feel really, this is about 20 years ago.
It just sounds...
It's just bad.
It sounds mean, doesn't
it? Small, bitter and useless. It's a horrible nickname. Perhaps Ray at Flagstaff Hill has something kinder to share. G'day, Ray.
Good morning, boys. My son was actually in the Navy. He was a stoker, and his nickname was Mutluk New, because if they couldn't fix anything, Brett would be able to make it like new.
That's great. Very handy, was he?
Yeah, oh yes, he still is, actually. He's can put his hand to anything and fix anything.
Good on you, Ray. Thank you for that.
I like that one. That's a nice positive one. We haven't had too many of those.
Matthew's at Morfordville. Good morning, Matthew.
I used to work with a bloke who unfortunately stuttered. And he'd go to say something and be but, so we called him outboard.
Quinn's Marine. Thank you, Matthew at Morfordville. A couple extras on the text line here as well, Tom. Catherine says, we work with someone we call the eye specialist because all he talked about was himself.
We all know one of those, don't we?
Yes.
Particularly in the media industry.
Really? Tickets, please.
Yeah.
Yes. We had a bloke we used to call Bass. More tickets on himself than Bass. Or yeah.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to leave you with the difficult task of giving away a prize to the best call.
I think we've had so many good ones. We're going to give away a couple of prizes, aren't we?
Oh, good. All right. I like that. In the meantime, finding cheap fuel is no small, mean feat at the moment. It's difficult to do. So the best way you can do it, all South Aussies can find the cheapest fuel in an instant. Download the free My RAA app. If you haven't filled up, you should be looking to, with most outlets jumping to the mid $2.30s. United South Road, Melrose Park, $1.94.9. Liberty North East Road, Windsor Gardens, $1.96.9. So it is still sub $2, but you're going to have to get in quick, I think. United Torrens Pennington, $1.96.7. And the cheapest diesel we could find, Liberty South Road, Clarence Gardens, $2.25.5. So it is climbing and fast. If you haven't filled up, make sure you try and do so in the next couple of hours.
The RAA app really is excellent. Every time I go to fill up the car, I use it, and I've often been known to divert slightly because you can save 30 cents a litre sometimes, but that $2.39, and as we heard earlier in the show, Jim Chalmers over the weekend saying they're not going to keep the cut to the fuel excise beyond September. So we could be nudging $3 before we know it.
Yeah, exactly. And 30 cents a litre, if you've got a 60, 70 litre tank, that's around $20
Big saving.
So
it's an excellent app, yeah.
A big saving. Before we go any further, let's get to the best of behind closed doors. Blakey doing a brilliant job as always, so we'll get to that right now.
And when we get behind closed doors.
1395, Adelaide's 5AA.
This is Roey's Sports Show.
Yeah, welcome along to the sports show. I can smell the footy. It's just around the corner. I can smell the freshly cut grass. I can smell the rub-down oil. I can smell the Dinko rub. I can smell big, tough, sweaty men's armpits. My nostrils are full of it. And the Port Adelaide supporters reckon I'm full of it. I can't wait for the whole thing to start and to get into all the footy analysis.
Analysis?
Yeah, Leith, I love listening to the post-game analysis.
Analysis?
Yeah, there's nothing like it.
Okay.
I am getting absolutely smashed on the text line. Hey, Ro, why don't you talk about Portmore? Stephen Crow? Oh, that's pretty funny for a Port supporter. Here's another one. Hey, Ro! You reckon that's a good one? Did we dump something then?
We did.
Oh, Leith! What's wrong with that? I would have let that go to air.
That's why I dumped it.
But that was all right, wasn't it?
No.
Anyway, keep those calls coming in even if you don't like me. I never used to have to dump anything when I did the fishing show. Nothing. But I don't do it anymore, because why should I tell everybody where the fish are biting? I love fishing and I want all the fish for myself. If you want to play the Roey Sports Show drinking game, every time I mention Jody, you take a little slurpy drink, and every time Leith dumps me, you have another swallow, lap, dribble. And if I mention Jimmy Rowe, my little man never comes home, doesn't talk to me, doesn't recognise me in the street, then you have to scull your drink and say, bang! While standing up with your arms in the air and your guts hanging out the bottom of your t-shirt. I am getting smashed on the text line. Hey, Ro! Why don't you just marry Rory Sloane if you love him so much? I do love him, but I am not. And that. Did we dump something then?
Yep.
Oh, there was nothing wrong with that.
There was.
There was not.
There was.
I wonder if Gemma and Tori are listening. That's the whole family now. Now you have to scull an 18-gallon keg.
Great stuff. Best of behind closed doors thanks to Aussie Fast Transport Solutions, Interstate Freight, Distribution, Warehousing and local Adelaide couriers. Call Aussie Fast 13 13 64.
Now, Tom Rehn, if there was any ever doubt that Adelaide is 2 degrees of separation, earlier this morning I put out the call to see if we could find this couple that got married on this day in 1975 at Tea Tree Plaza.
My neck of the woods.
Your neck of the woods. Well, breaking news on the Automasters text line just coming in. Bob and Marcella are still happily married. 47 years today. They've been together for 50 years. They have 2 children, 5 grandchildren, and they don't wish to call in. But I'm so glad we found them. I've been looking for them forever. I'm so pleased that they're happily married.
47 years on. Unbelievable effort.
Married in Tea Tree Plaza on this day with all of the goods supplied by the stores. They had a night at the Barron Townhouse. They flew Ansett to Perth for the honeymoon. So we hope you're doing something special today, Bob and Marcella. I'm just so pleased that we found them.
Yeah, well done. That's great. Hopefully they can come on for your segment, though. That would be nice. Also, Smithy, we have got to give away a couple of prizes. The Automasters text line and the phone lines have been going off about work nicknames this morning.
Some really great ones. I like Noodles, who got every job done in 2 minutes. Jungle, who was, thick and dense. Crayfish, Tail Light. Gee, we've had a lot of good ones. I'm going to give away the one on the text line. You can have the honour of giving away it to the best caller today, Tom. So I liked Mortgage Eyes, one eye fixed, one eye variable from Adam. But the winner on the text line today is the one from Styx, who had the name The Exorcist as a friend, because whenever they turned up, the spirits always disappeared. So congratulations, Styx. You have won a family pass to Light Creatures at the Adelaide Zoo, Adelaide Zoo coming alive after dark with life creatures. This is part of the Illuminate Festival from the 7th of July. The tickets are on sale now. Stick Sam will get in touch with you for your clever nickname of The Exorcist.
Which leaves me with the best phone call, and you and 3 friends are going to be off to the Adelaide Beer and Barbecue Fest on Sunday, the 17th of July. I'm going to give it to Dean from Craigmore. There were some brilliant calls, but his was mirrors. I think it was for the boss, because every time they came to him with a problem, he'd say, I'd look into that. I'll look into that. I'll look into that. So that is a great nickname. Dean, give us a call back, 8223 0000. After 2 long years, the Beer and Barbecue Fest is back the 15th to the 17th of July at the Adelaide Showground. Get your tickets now at beerbarbecuefest.com.au. Smithy, been an absolute pleasure working with you this morning. The good news is we get to do it for the rest of the week.
Yeah, thank you, Rennie. It's been fun.
It has been.
You can call me Brian.
Yeah. We'll be back tomorrow morning from 6 o'clock here on 5AA Breakfast. News is next, and then Leon Biner. Have a great day, folks.
Do you think a concert pianist needs a builder's license? No. Does a chartered accountant need one? Nah. Okay, then what about a house inspector? This will surprise you. Right now,